Chapter 377. Zichin was extremely powerful. As he attacked fiercely, the zephyrs fell one by one. Now he was not far from the zephyr plane. It was very easy for him to kill an early-stage zephyr plane with his unparalleled combat power. Pum! Zichin flashed and turned into a golden light. He appeared in front of a zephyr plane and punched again. Another explosion sounded and blood rained down. This was simply a massacre, an instant kill. The number of zephyrs in the early stage was getting smaller and smaller. In the end, all of them died, leaving no one alive. They were all from big forces. Zichin had seen them before. They were all hostile forces. They had harmed him many times, and now they wanted to harm his friends. There was no need to be merciful. It was just a pity that he did not see those monsters. Otherwise, he would have killed them all. At this moment, there was only one zephyr plane left. He was in the mid-stage of the zephyr plane. The rest were all dead. However, he did not run far before Zichin caught up with him. Now, it's time to send you on your way. Zichin's voice was cold, like a demon from hell. Hearing the screams and the explosions, the leader was scared out of his wits. Zichin was too strong. He could kill an early-stage zephyr plane in seconds. Even if he was in the mid-stage of the zephyr plane, he did not want to fight with Zichin. He was not confident at all. However, Zichin caught up with him. His cold voice sounded in his ears. In order to survive, he did not care about anything else. Only one chance. He made up his mind. His eyes suddenly became very crazy. He wanted to fight for a chance to live. Go to hell. The leader of the zephyr plane suddenly became crazy. He gritted his teeth and let out a roar. Light flashed around his body. A terrifying aura gushed out, making the world pale. A hazy divine halo appeared from his body. However, there was a terrifying aura that made people tremble. It instantly rushed toward Zichin. Pum! Zichin's powerful attack was instantly broken by the divine halo. At the same time, the divine halo hit Zichin. He was sent flying hundreds of meters. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He rolled on the ground and did not move. He suffered a great loss. What? How could this be? In the distance, Zhang Haotian's expression changed. Although Zichin was only at the 9th sky of True Yuan, he had unparalleled battle power. Perhaps he could not kill a mid-stage void riding warrior in one blow, but if the two fought, he would not be in such a sorry state. With confusion, he looked at the leader in the sky. When he saw the divine splendor, he was so angry that his body trembled. He said angrily, You actually desecrated the corpses of human cultivators and refined them into weapons." In the leader's hand, a skull appeared. It was a human skull, and it was emitting a hazy divine radiance. It had been refined into a weapon, and it carried the residual might of an expert. Its aura was horrifying, and its power was terrifying. It was the one who had sent Zichin flying. Humph, what do you mean by blasphemy? This is called making the best use of things. They have already been dead for countless years. Now the only thing left is this skull that is useful to me. It can be considered to have shone after death. The leader flew into the air, not caring about this at all. Meanwhile, in his hand, the skull emitted divine splendor. Its upper and lower jaws continuously opened and closed. A horrifying aura pervaded the air. Do you still have any humanity left? You won't even let the dead go. You really deserve to die 10,000 times, Zhang Haoyan said angrily. Humph, in this kind of situation, you'd better think about the two of you first. After you die, I will also make the best use of things. I won't let your corpses go to waste. The leader sneered, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Zichin was pushed back, and he did not get up for a long time. He was sure that Zichin was already heavily injured, and his life was in danger. Although this skull had only been refined for a short time, it was still the remains of an expert and possessed inconceivable power. This time, it could be said that he had turned defeat into victory. The leader flew into the air, feeling proud of himself. Zichen, how are you? Hearing this, Zhang Haotian's expression changed, and he hurriedly transmitted a message to Zichen. Haha, Zhang Haotian, I'll send you on your way first. Right at this moment, the leader sneered. The feeling of turning defeat into victory made him feel extremely good, but he did not dare to be careless. He directly made a ruthless move, controlling the skull to charge at Zhang Haotian. Woo woo! The skull had already been refined, and it grew in the wind, becoming the size of a millstone. Divine radiance surged around it, and a terrifying aura erupted. It let out a ghostly howl as it charged at Zhang Haotian. Ha! Zhang Haotian roared, mobilizing all the energy in his body, wanting to block this attack. It's useless. Die. The leader did not care at all. Even Zichen at his peak was heavily injured after being hit by the skull, let alone the heavily injured Zhang Haotian. Blaspheming a human expert, you deserve to die. Right at this moment, Zichen's cold voice sounded. He turned into a ray of light, instantly blocking in front of Zhang Haotian. Boom! A red piece of armor appeared in front of Zichen, shining brightly. It was the token. With a thought, a flame shot out from the armor, and with a blazing heat it landed on the skull. The flame burned with an inexplicable power. The skull wailed and retreated rapidly in the air. This was the skeleton of a human expert. Zichen did not want to blaspheme it, nor did he want to burn it to ashes. So he used the flame to repel the skull. Seeing Zichen appear, the leader's expression changed drastically. He was shocked and no longer arrogant. What? Weren't you heavily injured and about to die? There were some bloodstains on Zichen's chest, and there was also blood at the corner of his mouth. He seemed to be in a sorry state, but his spirit was still strong, and he did not look like he was heavily injured. Although he did not suffer a fatal blow, Zichen had to admit that the skull was very powerful. Even with his perfect body, he was injured. If it were other monsters, they would have been heavily injured, even if they did not die. Blaspheme a human expert. You do deserve to die 10,000 times. Zichen's words were cold and murderous. These experts had all died in battle against the outsiders. They were all saints who had protected the human race. They had been admirable experts when they were alive, but after they died, their corpses had been refined into weapons. While feeling angry, Zichen also felt a deep sense of sorrow. Go to hell. Murderous intent surged. Zichen's words were cold. He turned into a golden light and rushed into the sky. Surging energy surged, and he made a powerful attack. Buzz! The skull trembled and was summoned again. It grew in the wind and became the size of a millstone. As its upper and lower jaws opened and closed, it emitted a violent aura and rushed toward Zichen. Bang! Zichen's attack was instantly destroyed by the skull. Then, the skull rushed toward Zichen with great power. It was indeed the skeleton of a human expert. Even if there was only a little bit of divine light left, it was still terrifying. Without using flames, Zichen was no match for it. Right at this moment, the flames surged, rushing upwards. The skull howled in grief as it turned back. Damn it! Zichen cursed. This was the skeleton of a human expert who died in battle to protect the land of saints and humans. Zichen did not want to blaspheme it, so the battle was inevitably blocked. Woo woo! The leader flew into the air and seemed to have seen through this. He activated his powerful spiritual sense, and the skull shone with divine radiance as it charged toward Zichen again. He had no confidence in defeating Zichen at all. At this moment, he could only use the skull. Swoosh! Zichen displayed the fastest speed in the human world. He kept flashing and dodging the skull's attacks, but the latter followed him like a shadow and chased after him. Its upper and lower jaws opened and closed, showing a terrifying aura. Do you dare to fight me fair and square? Zichen shouted angrily. He turned into a flash of lightning and kept moving at high speed. Fair and square? This is my spiritual weapon. You can't even block a spiritual weapon. You want to fight me? Dream on. The leader sneered and activated the skull again. Woo woo. The skull rushed over at high speed, making a ghostly cry. It directly crashed into Zichin. Although he was prepared, Zichan was still forced back hundreds of meters. His face was pale. Haha, Zichin, I didn't expect you to have such a day. The leader laughed loudly in the air. His expression was one of disdain, but he was extremely shocked in his heart. The power of this skull was definitely strong enough to kill a monstrous genius, but it was blocked by Zichin. Sorry. Zichen's eyes flashed. Finally, there was a flash of light. Whoosh whoosh. On the armor, flames surged. The next moment, it turned into a sea of fire and rushed toward the skull. Awoo. The skull let out a painful howl as the flames burned. It wanted to escape, but the flames appeared and surrounded the skull. It couldn't run at all. Zichin, you dare to blaspheme a human expert. The leader's expression changed. He had a bad feeling. Scum, like you don't have the right to say such things to me. Zichen's voice was cold. He ignored the leader and controlled the flames with all his strength. The flames that filled the sky converged and surrounded the skull. The skull kept howling in grief. Its voice was mournful, like the cry of a real ghost. The millstone-sized skull shrank to an ordinary size and struggled in the flames. Finally, the skull wrapped in flames flew back into Zichen's hand. You. The leader's expression changed. He looked at Zichen in shock. He didn't expect him to take the skull away. Puff! The next moment, he spat out blood. The skull had changed owners. The powerful spiritual thoughts in it were forcibly erased by Zichin. With a point of his finger, a hazy divine light spread out and dissipated between heaven and earth. At the same time, the skull also turned into ashes. In the end, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. A powerful expert of a generation finally laid to rest. Blaspheme a human expert. You deserve to die. Zichen's eyes were cold. He turned into a bolt of lightning and stepped forward. His essence, chi, and spirit were one. He was like a god of war in golden armor. Boom! The world trembled. A dazzling golden light appeared. At this moment, it was as if there was only one punch left between heaven and earth. Its power was boundless. The dazzling fist with boundless power scared the mid-stage Zephyr Sky out of his wits. However, the fist had locked onto him. He couldn't run even if he wanted to. He could only desperately resist. Terrifying energy surged. At this moment, the mid-stage Zephyr Sky also made a peak attack. Boom! As the two forces collided, there was an explosion in the sky. A destructive aura swept out. The mid-stage Zephyr Sky coughed up blood and retreated. His face was full of shock. Zichin also landed on the ground. His face didn't change. Blood rained down. The mid-stage Zephyr Sky powerhouse's face changed dramatically. He didn't expect Zichin to be so terrifying. He was defeated with one blow. Mid-stage Zephyr Sky powerhouses are really hard to kill. Zichin landed and sighed in his heart. He had to admit that the mid-stage Zephyr Sky powerhouse's vitality was tenacious. It was indeed many times stronger than the early-stage Zephyr Sky powerhouse. After that, Zichin kept punching. Since he couldn't kill him with one punch, then he would punch a few more. The dazzling fist made people's hearts jump. The mid-stage Zephyr Sky powerhouse coughed up blood and retreated again and again. He was beaten to the point where he couldn't resist. In the distance, Zhang Haotian was also stunned. Zichin, who was at the ninth sky of true energy, was actually able to suppress the mid-stage Zephyr Sky powerhouse. Unparalleled combat power is indeed terrifying. If he breaks through to the Zephyr Sky realm, I guess only the peak Zephyr Sky powerhouses can suppress him. Zhang Haotian was shocked. Boom! After dozens of punches and hundreds of punches, there was an explosion. Blood rained down from the sky. Chapter 378. Hundreds of punches, each of which was a peak attack. Even Ziqin felt that it was too much for him to bear. Fortunately, it was all over. With the final peak punch, a rain of blood fell between heaven and earth. A loud explosion resounded throughout the world. The mid-stage Zephyr Realm cultivator was blasted apart by Ziqin. Zhang Haoyan was dumbfounded. One had to know that this was a mid-stage Zephyr Realm cultivator, but he was defeated so easily. Then his face was filled with ecstasy. As his good brother, the stronger Ziqin was, the happier he was. Ziqin, good job! Zhang Haoyan couldn't help but shout. But in the next moment, his pupils shrank. He saw a black shadow appear silently behind Ziqin. When the other party appeared, he looked straight at Ziqin. He didn't attack, nor did he show any malice. Could it be Elder Amo? But it doesn't look like it. Zhang Haoyan was puzzled. The tyrannical fist consumed a lot of energy. Ziqin was gasping for breath and sweating profusely. This was a relatively difficult battle. With a gap of a large realm, Ziqin's victory wasn't easy. The perfect body and the tyrannical fist could barely kill a mid-stage Zephyr Realm cultivator. At this moment, Ziqin turned his head and looked at Zhang Haoyan. In his hand, he was still holding the mid-stage Zephyr Realm cultivator's spirit ring. This was his harvest this time. The other spirit rings had been kept by him before, and he was going to take some time to count them. Is this your friend? Zhang Haoyan stepped forward and let out a cry of surprise. This was because the black shadow had silently appeared behind Ziqin. It was like a guard protecting Ziqin. Friend. Ziqin was startled. He had consumed a lot of energy and he felt exhausted. As a result, his powerful spirit sense had become less sharp, and his perception had obviously decreased. Yeah, isn't it him? He's standing behind you. Zhang Haoyan pointed behind Ziqin. What? Ziqin's expression changed drastically as the hairs on his body stood on end. The instant he turned his head, he saw a black shadow flash past. It's that black shadow. He actually followed us out. Ziqin's heart, which had just calmed down, began to palpitate again. Buzz! A golden brilliance flashed as streaks of lightning surrounded his body. Ziqin's hair fluttered in anger as he shouted into the void. Stop playing tricks and come out! When Ziqin turned around, the black shadow always flashed and disappeared. Furthermore, it kept appearing behind Ziqin. Swish! Swish! Using his extreme speed footwork, Ziqin moved within a small area, wanting to see the true body of the shadow. However, the shadow was not slow either, always appearing behind Ziqin, making it impossible for him to see clearly. All he could see was an illusory figure disappearing. He has always been behind you. He is a tall shadow like an illusion. Zhang Haoyan shouted. He had a bad feeling. He was seriously injured, and now that Ziqin and the shadow were both moving at extreme speed, he could not help even if he wanted to. Ziqin was facing a great enemy. The golden light around his body became even more dazzling. Streaks of lightning surrounded his body, making crackling sounds. At the same time, streaks of golden light surged, wreaking havoc in all directions, launching indiscriminate attacks. However, it was useless. The black shadow blended into the void, allowing the golden ripples to pass by without moving. What exactly is he? Zhang Haoyan asked, feeling a chill in his heart. It's a ghost. He has been following me since before. Ziqin spoke as if he was facing a great enemy. The golden light kept flashing as he displayed his extreme speed to the limit. His whole body turned into a streak of light. However, the black shadow still did not disappear. It always disappeared the moment Ziqin turned around, and then reappeared in an instant. A streak of golden light and a streak of black light were constantly lingering around each other. After that, Zichen flew into the distance like a bolt of lightning, moving forward at an extremely fast speed. Swish! The black shadow also flashed and followed Zichen closely. What? He's a ghost? Zhang Haotian was horrified. There are only vengeful spirits in the world. How could there be ghosts? At this moment he saw the black shadow, clearly. It had a ferocious expression and blood-red eyes. It was like the tall demonic shadow on the ancient castle's gate. They were all blood-red and looked very strange. It's the demonic shadow on the gate. Has it been following you? Zhang Haotian cried out. He also retreated, his heart trembling. That day, the demonic shadow had been very strange. It had silently caused people to bleed from their orifices, and more than 10 people had died. At that time, the crowd had only seen its eyes. But now, Zichen had been entangled by the demonic shadow. Elder Hiroshi, why aren't you helping? Elder Hiroshi had already appeared, but he was far away from Zichen. He only watched from afar. Help? How can I help? Elder Hiroshi looked at the black shadow and frowned. He had no idea what to do. The black shadow was very strange. It only followed Zichen but did not attack. Other than the pair of blood-red eyes that were particularly scary, it did not have any hostility. But it followed Zichen closely and did not leave his side. It was already creepy enough. In the previous battle, Zichen had consumed a lot of energy. Now that he was using the world's fastest speed, his speed became slower and slower. In the end, Zichen was panting and exhausted all his energy. As he slowed down, the black shadow also slowed down. It did not say a word and stuck close to Zichen. During this time, Zhang Haotian tried to attack, but it was useless. As soon as he approached, the black shadow would disappear. As soon as he left, it would appear again. With his energy exhausted, Zichen had no choice but to sit on the ground. Humph, I don't care if you're a human or a ghost. If you have the ability, appear in front of me and fight with me. If you don't, quickly leave. Zichen sat on the ground, panting and shouting. The black shadow followed behind him without a word. Elder Hiroshi and Zhang Haotian did not dare to approach. They both watched from afar. This was an illusory black shadow. It was very similar to the demonic shadow on the gate of the ancient castle. It had a pair of blood-red eyes. It was behind Zichen, almost sticking to him. Could this be an incarnation of the demonic shadow on the gate? It's like some kind of curse. Zhang Haotian stood in the distance and whispered, "Why would a curse entangle me?" Zichen was puzzled and did not dare to turn around. "You forgot that it was your token that allowed everyone to enter here. Moreover, if it wasn't for your token, I'm afraid more people would have died in the blood-red eyes. Could this be the demonic shadow's revenge?" Zhang Haotian guessed. Zichen's hair stood on end. He muttered, "That's impossible." "It's very possible." Elder Hiroshi said seriously, "You've forgotten that this is a place where humans and other races fight. Humans can trigger the obsessions of other races, and this might be one of them. That demonic shadow has been eyeing you for a long time. Then, how can it be eliminated? There's no way to get rid of it unless you're dead. If I'm dead, why would I need to get rid of it? Is there no other way?" Zichen rolled his eyes. "You can try using the token." Elder Hiroshi smiled. "Yeah, why am I so stupid? Previously, it was the token that solved everything. Naturally, I'll have to rely on it this time." Zichen came to a realization. Boom! On the armor, flames flickered, illuminating the surroundings. An earth-shattering fire appeared, engulfing the surroundings with blazing heat. "It's gone. It's really gone. It's just a bunch of obsessions. This token can resolve it," Zhang Haotian shouted. When the flames attacked, the black shadow's blood-red eyes seemed to show a hint of pain. Then the figure kept twisting and dissipating under the flames. It was completely burned. "It's finally gone." Zichen heaved a sigh of relief. The obsessions had dissipated. He was on tenterhooks all the way here. Now he could finally relax. Elder Hiroshi stroked his beard. Obviously, he was also frightened. After that, Zi-Chen sat down cross-legged to recover the elemental energy he had consumed. Zi-Chen. But before he could close his eyes, there was a strange cry. It was Zhang Haoyan. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. "What's wrong?" He appeared again. "He's right behind you." Zhang Haoyan pointed behind Zi-Chen, his eyes filled with disbelief. The fearless him actually had a look of panic on his face. Obviously, he was scared stiff. Elder Hiroshi had already entered the Taiji diagram. At this moment, he also appeared with a swoosh. When he saw the black shadow appear again, he also looked as if he had seen a ghost. Boom! Zi-Chen felt a chill in his heart. Without saying a word, he once again activated the flames on the armor to wreak havoc, and the black shadow disappeared just like before. Is there more? This time, Zi-Chan was vigilant and did not cultivate. After a long time, Zhang Haoyan shook his head. Humph, finally gone. Zi-Chan snorted and sat down cross-legged again. But soon, Zhang Haoyan's cry rang out again. This was an extremely strange scene. A black shadow would always appear behind Zi-Chen. Boundless flames would appear, and the other party's pain would disappear. However, as long as Zi-Chen sat down cross-legged to cultivate, the other party would appear again. Its expression was ferocious. It had blood-red pupils. Although there was no killing intent, it was still creepy. How can this be? The three were uncertain. They thought of many ways to break it, but none of them worked. Zi-Chen even made a lot of blood and had Zhang Haoyan splash it on the black shadow, but it was still useless. This is human blood, not black dog blood. It's useless. Zhang Haoyan's words made Zi-Chen speechless. The three were terrified. They tried everything, but still could not get rid of the black shadow. Zi-Chen was on the verge of collapse. It was not a good thing to be followed by such a guy. It might have no evil intentions now, but it might kill in the next moment. Squeak, squeak. Finally, just as the three were about to collapse, the black shadow let out a sound. But it was a beast-like sound. Its originally ferocious expression seemed to smile, making it even more sinister. Zi-Chen was shocked. He jumped a few meters into the air and escaped. This time, the black shadow did not disappear. It was also the first time it did not follow Zi-Chen. 2 rays of light flashed in its blood-red pupils. A sinister smile appeared on its face. It squeaked again, and its illusory body gradually solidified. What is this thing? Is it a ghost? The three were uncertain and retreated far away. Zi-Chen's forehead flashed with silver light. A powerful aura lay dormant. Once he sensed something was wrong, he would use all his trump cards. Squeak, squeak. The beast-like roar sounded again. The black silhouette began to solidify. However, during the process of solidifying, it began to shrink. Chapter 379. Under the stunned gazes of the three, a tall black shadow grew to the size of a palm, surrounded by black light, and a pair of blood-red eyes flashed red. Squeak! The black shadow turned into a little guy, making squeaking sounds. It jumped around on the ground, looking at Zi-Chen with a pair of blood-red eyes. No matter how one looked at it, it seemed to be mocking him. The three were dumbfounded. They looked at each other, not understanding what was going on. Squeak! The little guy was surrounded by black light, jumping around on the ground with a very happy look, but its blood-red eyes were staring at Zi-Chen as if it was gloating. We were scared by it. The three were speechless, looking at the little guy in front of them. It was difficult to connect it with the illusory and ferocious black shadow before. Zi-Chen and Elder Hiroshi were also embarrassed. Previously in the passage, the two of them were scared out of their wits. The black shadow turned into its true form, which was this little guy. Everything in the passage was also its doing. The little guy seemed to be familiar with it, jumping around on the ground, then jumped on Zi-chen's shoulder and head. A pair of small claws instantly messed up Zi-chen's hair. Squeak! The little guy kept jumping around, seemingly very happy, but its expression, no matter how one looked at it, seemed to be mocking Zi-chen. Damn it, it's you! Zi-chen was furious and grabbed the little guy. The little guy was only the size of a palm. When it was caught by Zi-chen, the black light around it surged, trying to break free. It's you! Zi-chen roared and hit hard. Bang! The little guy was knocked to the ground, but the black light around it did not dissipate. It bounced on the ground, making squeaking sounds, and clenched its little claws into fists, showing off to Zi-chen. Squeak! It raised its fist at Zi-chen as if to show off, but there was a different expression on its little face. Zi-chen, he seems to be despising you. Zhang Haotian was stunned for a while and whispered, Ah! Zi-chen shouted angrily and kicked out. The little girl couldn't dodge in time and was kicked out again. Like a rubber ball, she rolled a dozen times. Squeak, squeak! It raised its fist at Zi-chen. It was very dissatisfied, but it also seemed to be protesting. It seemed to be saying, Who asked you to be so timid? You little thing! Zi-chen roared again and again. He was really scared before, but he didn't expect that it was this little guy who played a prank. He swung his fists at a rapid speed like raindrops. Pung, pang, 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 ping pong. The little guy squeaked and seemed to be very angry. It clenched its little fists and tried to protest, but every time it jumped up, it was knocked down by Zi-chen. It rolled a few times on the ground as if nothing had happened. This little thing really deserves a beating. Elder Mo spoke. He was already so old, yet he still suffered such a shock. He deserves it. Zhang Haotian nodded. Squeak! The little guy protested and waved its little fist to show off, but it was useless. It was knocked down by Zi-chen's 2 punches. Zi-chen had already expended a lot of energy, and after being frightened, he was even more exhausted. After throwing over 100 punches, he was finally panting and tired. Although the 100 punches of the perfect body were not at full strength, it was still terrifying. Although it couldn't kill a mid-stage Zephyr, it could easily destroy an early-stage Zephyr. However, this little guy acted as if nothing had happened. It squeaked and waved its fists to show off. I'll settle the score with you later. Zi-chen said angrily. This little guy was too naughty. It had clearly heard his conversation with Elder Mo and deliberately appeared to scare them. Needless to say, the 2 of them were really frightened. Their embarrassment was remembered by the little guy, and it kept mocking them. The little guy was very lively and acted as if it was familiar. It wasn't hurt by Zi-chen's violent beating, nor did it hold a grudge. It jumped on top of Zi-chen's head again and jumped around, even grabbing a strand of hair to swing. You little guy, where did you come from? Zi-chen's anger hadn't subsided yet. Thinking about how he, a monster that made cultivators of large factions tremble in fear, was actually frightened by a little guy to the point of running away. He would definitely become the laughingstock of the world if word got out. Seeing the little fellow's pure and adorable appearance, Old Mo's furrowed brows slowly relaxed. The little fellow was only the size of a palm, yet he was fine after receiving over 100 punches from Zi-chen. He was clearly not ordinary. You little thing! Zi-chen grabbed the little guy and threw it more than 10 meters away, but the little guy quickly ran over again. Little guy, come to me. Zhang Haotian, who had always been cold, was smiling today. It was unusual, but no matter how one looked at it, he looked like a big bad wolf with bad intentions. Swoosh! The little guy looked at Zhang Haotian, its small eyes rolling around, putting on a pitiful and scared look. It was very cute. Don't be afraid, come to me. Zhang Haotian lowered his head and smiled again. Swoosh! Unexpectedly, at this moment, the little guy turned into a black light and rushed towards Zhang Haotian. It was so fast that he didn't have time to react at all, and was kicked in the nose by 2 small feet. The little guy was only the size of a palm, but its strength wasn't small. It directly kicked Zhang Haotian over, then jumped back to Zi Chen's head and squeaked, obviously mocking the other party. "You little guy." Zhang Haotian got up in a sorry state and acted like a villain, but the little guy didn't care at all and kept mocking him. At the same time, its feet stomped on Zi Chen's head. Bang! Zi Chen slapped down, and the little guy was directly sent flying, rolling on the ground for more than 10 times. It got up and waved its fist at Zi Chen, protesting and expressing its dissatisfaction. "Stay away from me," Zi Chen said angrily. The little guy obviously understood Zi Chen's words and put on a pitiful look. There was a hazy mist in its red eyes, looking very pitiful. "Humph!" Zi Chen snorted and ignored the other party. The little guy was even more aggrieved. Its eyes were hazy and it almost shed tears, like an abandoned child, full of grievances. "Little guy, come to me," Zhang Haotian said again. Bang! The little guy turned into a black light and kicked Zhang Haotian over again. This time, it rolled twice before landing on the ground and squeaked happily. On the side, Elder Mo's eyes were shining. "You little thing, I wanted to take you in out of kindness, but you kicked my nose." Zhang Haotian's nose was a little red and swollen as he pointed at the little guy. But the little guy ignored him and turned its head to show him its butt. Just as the other party was furious, it turned into a black light again and went to Zi Chen's head. Bang! But this time, Zi Chen was more decisive and sent the little guy flying again. Then he sat down cross-legged to recover. The little guy put on an aggrieved look, but when it saw that Zi Chen was not paying attention to it, it was furious and kept waving its little fists at Zi Chen. "Little guy, he doesn't want you, but I want you." Zhang Haotian opened his mouth again with a smile, but obviously he was kicked over again. 3 times in a row, Zhang Haotian did not react. In addition to his injuries, the little guy's speed was really too fast. A dramatic scene appeared. Zi Chen sent the little guy flying again and again, but the little guy insisted on following Zi Chen. Zhang Haotian wanted the little guy to follow him, but he was kicked in the nose again and again. "How can this be?" Zhang Haotian said unwillingly. He could see that the little guy was very extraordinary, but it was unrequited. The little guy did not pay attention to him at all, but stuck to Zi Chen like a plaster. In front of Zi Chen, it put on all kinds of pitiful and aggrieved looks, but all it showed to him was its butt. "If you want to follow me, then don't move." Zi Chen sat down cross-legged to recover his origin energy. After sending the little guy flying dozens of times, he finally said. The little guy's eyes were filled with tears, as if it had been pardoned. Its little head kept nodding. Then it jumped onto Zi Chen's shoulder and stopped moving like an obedient baby. Not long after, there was a sound of snoring. It actually fell asleep. Zhang Haotian rolled his eyes, but Elder Mo could not help but laugh. After a long time, the origin energy in Zi Chen's body recovered. Golden light surged around his body, and a powerful aura erupted. The little guy was frightened and jumped a few meters high. Squeak, squeak. It landed on Zi Chen's shoulder and waved its little fists to express its dissatisfaction and protest. It was sleeping and was awakened. Zi Chen chose to ignore the little guy's dissatisfaction and protest. After that, he asked Zhang Haotian exactly what had happened. "This is simply a treasure trove," Zhang Haotian said, bringing some surprising news. They did not see a passage when they entered, but instead came to an open area with many corpses. During this time, they had a lot of gains. In addition to some battle skills, there were many cultivators' breakthrough insights. It could be said to be a priceless treasure. Among them, they also found some weapons with faint spiritual energy, which led to a bloody battle with many casualties. The major forces found a corpse that has not melted since ancient times. It is suspected to be a powerful inheritance. Everyone dared to go there. I was going to go there too, but unfortunately I was surrounded and ambushed, Zhang Haotian said. What? A corpse that has not melted since ancient times? Zi Chen was shocked. That's right. It is said that it is protected by an inexplicable energy. It is very difficult for the major forces to get close, so they did not get the inheritance immediately and attracted the attention of other forces. A corpse that hasn't melted since the beginning of time, and it's protected by energy. Could it be a peerless expert comparable to a saint? Could it be the inheritance of a saint? Even Zichen was extremely shocked after hearing this. I'm not sure if it is a saint, but it is definitely a powerful expert. And it is definitely a kind of inheritance because someone saw the engraving, Zhang Haoyan said. Zhang Haoyan said, this time many major factions have gone with pill weapons to open that energy shield. Pill weapons. They actually brought pill weapons. Zichen was surprised. In his opinion, those pill weapons should be in the hands of ancestor-level experts. At this time, those ancestor-level experts were blocked by the light gate, so it was impossible for anyone to bring a pill weapon. The little guy lay on Zichen's shoulder and fell asleep again. Zichen and Zhang Haoyan discussed and decided to go to the depths in a day. During this time, Zhang Haoyan recovered from his injuries. Old M.O., what do you think of this little guy? Zichen asked through telepathy. Although this little guy was cute, its origin was unknown. This was the Saint Burial Ground, and there were dangers everywhere. Zichen could not bring it with him, just because it was acting cute. Chapter 380. Elder Hiroshi's brows furrowed at the mention of the little fellow. The holy burial ground was filled with danger. Here, there were no dead people, only corpses. Suddenly, a lively little thing appeared, which was really surprising. This little guy looks very cute. He was just playing tricks before. At most, it could be considered a prank. Elder Hiroshi transmitted his voice. At this moment, the little fellow was sleeping soundly on Zichen's shoulder. It was snoring and drooling. It is indeed cute. But Elder Hiroshi, don't you find it strange? How did this little fellow survive here? Zichen asked a very realistic question. Although cultivators could absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate, they still had to take fasting pills. In the Saint Burial Ground, there was nothing but corpses. It was impossible for a little fellow to survive. Moreover, the little fellow was very special. It was only the size of a palm, but its defense was shocking. Its speed was also terrifying, and it even knew how to transform. It was very suspicious. After pondering for a long time, Elder Hiroshi finally said, "The little fellow is a little suspicious, but it has no ill intentions. It was just trying to scare you and me. It was purely a prank. So far, it has not shown any offensive means. Why don't we keep it by our side and observe it for a while?" This was the result of careful consideration. The little fellow was extraordinary and very young. Once captured, it would definitely be a great help to Zichen in the future. All right then. Zichen nodded. Although he liked this little fellow, he had to treat it rationally. The little fellow was not a threat at the moment, but Zichen would not let his guard down. The little fellow was sleeping soundly and did not know that its fate had been decided in these few short sentences. With the help of the Qin family's pills, Zhang Haoyan's injuries recovered by 60% a day later. He could move freely and could go on his way. Squeak, squeak. When the little fellow woke up in the morning, it was very energetic. It jumped back and forth on Zichen's body like a little black ball, shining brightly. "Little fellow, come to me." Zhang Haoyan smiled. The little fellow was heartless and played happily by itself. It would grab Zichen's hair from time to time and play on the swing, completely ignoring Zhang Haoyan. "Little guy, let me give you a name." The little fellow ignored him. Zhang Haoyan tried to find something to talk about. The little fellow rolled her eyes, but this attracted Zichen's attention. Up until now, the little fellow had yet to reveal its true form. Its entire body was shrouded in black light. Other than its 4 limbs and eyes, even its head could not be seen clearly. Yesterday, Zichen had punched it hundreds of times, but he still couldn't shatter the black light around its body. "Hey, little thing, Let me see your true body, Zhang Haoyan said loudly, wanting to attract the little guy's attention. Swoosh! Lil Thing rolled its eyes and quickly kicked Zhang Haoyan's nose again before jumping onto Zichen's shoulder. It was very happy and seemed to be laughing at Zhang Haoyan. What is your true form? Let me take a look so I can give you a name. I can't keep calling you Lil Thing or little guy, right? Zichen said. Squeak, squeak. The little guy nodded, seemingly very happy. When Zichen spoke, it seemed to never refute. Zhang Haoyan stared at it. They were both humans, but the difference was really not small. The black light around the little guy disappeared in an instant, revealing its true form. It was only the size of a palm, with fine hair all over its body. It was as black as ink, reflecting black light without any impurities. Just like a human, it had 5 fingers on both hands, 5 fingers on both feet, and a small head. It was like a little monkey, but its eyes were shining red. What is this? Seeing the little guy's true form, the 3 were stunned. The little guy was very similar to a monkey, but its hair was pure black and it did not have a tail. It was very similar to a big ape, but it was too small and its eyes were red. Moreover, there was no such species among the big apes. The 3 were dumbfounded. Squeak, squeak. The little guy was very cute. It looked at Zichen with its red eyes full of expectation, like a child waiting for an adult to give it a name. Zichen was in a dilemma. What name should he give it? Strange, what kind of beast is this? Elder Hiroshi stared at the little guy with surprise in his eyes. You're so black, and you look like a little monkey. How about Black Monkey? Zhang Haoyan said, but the little guy's eyes turned red. It then threw its butt at him, obviously very dissatisfied with the name. Then, Black Monkey, Zhang Haoyan said again. Pum! The little guy moved his little legs and kicked Zhang Haoyan over. He landed on Zichen's shoulder and waved his little fists at him in protest. I gave you a name out of kindness, but you sneak-attacked me. Zhang Haoyan was anxious. Zichen hesitated for a moment and finally said, How about Little Black? The little guy did not do anything extreme, but it was very dissatisfied. It waved its fist at Zichen in protest. Zichen was also embarrassed. His original intention was to see the little guy's true form, and he did not know how to name it. I think it looks like an ape, and its body is as black as ink. Why don't we use a homonym and call it Demon Ape? Elder Hiroshi's eyes flashed. After pondering for a moment, he finally said, Demon Ape, a very good name. Zichen nodded, agreeing on behalf of the little guy. The little guy did not seem to be satisfied with the name, but since Zichen agreed, it could only accept. Its face drooped, and the black light around its body once again shrouded its body, leaving only a pair of big eyes. The 3 of them sped up. During this time, they did not find anything valuable, but they did see a lot of bare ground, as if a layer of the ground had been shaved off. Obviously, these were not inherited battle skills, but the cultivation insights of experts. They had all been taken away by the people of the major powers along with the land. It could be said that nothing was left. After 3 days, they finally saw traces of humans. Dead, all dead. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. It was like the end of the world. They all died. It was just that the few true energy boundary cultivators seemed to have been badly frightened, and their minds were a little confused. As the 2 of them slowly asked, they finally found some useful clues. The people of the major powers were watching with some fear, but some rogue cultivators could not hold back. Although they did not have spirit weapons, they had a lot of people. If they worked together, it was not a small force. Unfortunately, they did not break through the protective energy. Instead, they attracted lightning with terrifying power, slaughtering everything. In the lightning flashing and thunder rumbling, it was like the end of the world. The rogue cultivators suffered heavy casualties, and only a small number of people were lucky to escape. The people of the major powers are thinking of a way to attack. They attacked a few times, but it was to no avail. Instead, a few of them died. They seem to have found some ancient characters which are suspected to be necessary to obtain the inheritance. However, no one can recognize them, so they have not made a move yet. They are all studying those ancient characters. Along the way, they obtained many clues and sped up. Zichen was also full of expectations. Elder Hiroshi would definitely recognize those ancient characters. After 2 days, they finally arrived at their destination. There was an inexplicable pressure in the air that made people's hearts palpitate. It was as if they had arrived at a peerless, ominous place. Even the little guy who was sleeping soundly woke up at this moment, extremely vigilant. It's indeed extraordinary. When the two appeared, Zhang Haotian also exclaimed when he felt the aura. As for Zichen, he was silent and looked forward. That's Zhang Haotian. It's him. He's still alive. Many people were surprised to see Zhang Haotian, especially those from the major powers. They were stunned, and their faces turned ugly. Damn it, how can he still be alive? More than 10 people attacked. How could they not kill him? A few monsters roared, unwilling to accept this, especially Chu Sun, who could not wait for Zhang Haotian to die immediately. There's another person beside Zhang Haotian. That's Zichen. Zichen. It's him. He's also alive. Didn't he disappear for more than half a month? Everyone said that he was dead. How is he still alive? Everyone was stunned when they saw Zichen, especially those from the opposing forces. Their faces turned ashen when they saw Zichen. They clearly understood what had happened. They had already guessed that those people had died prematurely. Zichen, Zhang Haotian, why are you two together? Zhang Haotian, why are you only here now? Were you waiting for Zichen? Lu Qin, Wang Qiong, Wang Shi, and the others also came over when they saw Zichen and Zhang Haotian. They were very surprised. What's this? Is this a pet you took in? Lu Bo was very surprised to see the little guy and was about to grab it. Bang! The little guy was very dissatisfied. It turned into a black light and directly kicked Lu Bo's nose with its 2 little feet, almost knocking him over. The others were shocked. The little guy's speed was too fast. They did not even have time to react. You little thing. Lu Bo touched his nose, but did not argue with it. Squeak! But who knew that the devil ape would not let it go? It kept jumping on Zichen's shoulder with a mocking expression. Damn it! I'm being looked down on by a little thing. Lu Bo cursed. Bang! This time, the little guy was more decisive and used more strength. It directly kicked Lu Bo and made him somersault twice. At the side, the group of monsters all had a strange light in their eyes. The little guy was only the size of a palm, but it was very extraordinary. They did not see clearly when it attacked twice. Damn, Zichen, is this your pet? Where did you get it? It's so strong. Why don't you let me have it? Lu Bo's nose was a little red and swollen as he got up from the ground. Swoosh! The little guy was very angry. It waved its little fist and turned into a black light again. That's enough. Come back. However, at that moment, Zichen reached out and grabbed it before anyone else could. I picked it up on the road. Zichen smiled and signaled the devil ape to be quiet. The devil ape was very obedient and stopped making trouble, but it rolled its eyes at Lu Bo. Zhang Haotian. Didn't we tell you to come a long time ago? Were you waiting for Zichen? Lu Qin said, this was a simple and honest little butterball. I met Zichen by accident. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Zhang Haotian said coldly. There was a cold light in his eyes. What's going on? Is he in danger? Everyone asked. It's those forces. They used despicable means to sneak attack Zhang Haotian. A dozen void flight cultivators attacked together. If I didn't intervene in time, Zhang Haotian might be dead. Zichen looked into the distance. The murderous intent in his eyes was not hidden at all. What? It's those forces again? Damn it. Everyone was furious. P.S. For chapters today. There's an improvement. 2 more chapters. I'll make up for it soon. Also, I'm asking for votes. I didn't dare to ask for votes because I didn't update much last month. This month, I can guarantee 300,000 updates. I can ask for votes confidently. Votes. Everything. Chapter 381. Hearing about Zhang Haoyan's encounter, everyone was furious. They didn't expect the major factions to be so shameless. Zi Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent. The major factions had tried to kill him before, and now they wanted to touch his friends. Naturally, he couldn't let them go. We'll talk about this later. What's the situation now? Zhang Haoyan said. Obviously, he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. He wasn't in a hurry to find trouble with the major factions. Although he was usually cold and quiet, he wasn't stupid. He knew that the inheritance was the most important thing now. We've attacked it a few times, but we didn't succeed. This ancient corpse is very strange. It has a strong obsession that makes it immortal. Moreover, every time we attack, it will attract lightning. It's like an apocalyptic lightning tribulation that can even kill people in the air. They sent out their alchemy soldiers and attacked it several times, but it was to no avail. Instead, they suffered great losses. However, it's not like we didn't gain anything. We found some ancient words from the prehistoric era. We suspect that it's the condition to obtain the inheritance. It might also be the root of the ancient corpse's obsession. It's just that we haven't comprehended it yet. A few monsters spoke and told them everything they knew. Take me to see the words from the prehistoric era. Zi Qin said. Elder Mo was very knowledgeable about the words from the prehistoric era. He would definitely be able to recognize them. Okay, let's go. Everyone led Zi Qin and Zhang Haoyan forward. Where's Evil Good Monk? Why isn't he here? Zi Chen suddenly asked when the monk's figure disappeared from the crowd. There was no news from the moment we came in. We tried to find the two of you, but there were no clues. Zi Chen nodded and didn't say anything else. He appeared in the passage and obtained the tyrannical fist. Evil Good Monk might have other opportunities. As they got closer, the oppressive aura in the air became stronger. At the same time, there was a vast power that made people's hearts palpitate. Little Rascal grabbed Zi Chen's hair tightly, looking very uneasy. Zi Chen patted it, indicating that it didn't need to worry. Stop, you can't go over here. At this moment, someone appeared in the air and stopped everyone. It was an enemy. He said to them, now that everyone is discussing the ancient corpse, no one is allowed to come here. Leave quickly. We're just going to take a look at those ancient words. Lu Qin said. He was a member of the Lu clan of Yongqi City. He was a simple and honest man, and he spoke in a friendly manner. No, this is what the various powers have instructed us to do. No one is allowed to pass. You guys can leave now. The enemy was very domineering in the air, not giving Lu Qin any face. Scram! Lu Bo shouted angrily. He came from Red Cloud City, and like Wang Qiong and the others, he had a bad temper. This is the order of all the major powers. No one can go against it. You can't go over. Yukong continued to block in front. Even we can't pass, said Wang Shi. Cold light flashed in his eyes. They were all monstrous geniuses, and yet they were stopped by an ordinary warrior in the air. The enemy hesitated for a moment before finally saying, All right, then you can go over. That's more like it. Lu Bo snorted. Zi Qin, let's go. Hold on. Yukong stopped them again. Seeing the impatient gazes of the group of monsters, he said, I said that you can pass, but I didn't say that these two loose cultivators can pass as well. You, the monstrous geniuses, were furious. This is the decision of all the major powers. You can come and go as you please, but that doesn't include loose cultivators. If you want to go, then go, but loose cultivators can't pass. Look at your own status. You think this is a place where loose cultivators can come? Said the enemy. He glanced at Zi Chen and Zhang Haoqian with disdain. "Do you want to die?" said Zhang Haoqian coldly. Clearly he was being targeted. Looking into the distance, those monstrous geniuses were sneering. There were even some Yukong who were glaring at them. "What? You still want to fight? You're just a loose cultivator, yet you want to fight against us?" sneered Yukong. Zhang Haoqian's eyes flashed coldly, but in the end he didn't attack. Zi Chen had been watching coldly before, but now he finally understood everything. He was being targeted again. These major powers were really annoying. Loose cultivators can leave now. Don't be an eyesore here. Look at your own status. You think this is a place where loose cultivators can come? Seeing that even Zhang Haoqian had endured, the enemy was even more arrogant. Everyone was infuriated. Zi Chen's eyes also flashed coldly. "Noisy!" His voice was cold. As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward and waved his golden palm, slapping Yukong. Slap! Yukong was sent flying by the slap. Zi Chen's attack was heavy. Yukong spurted out blood and half of his teeth fell out. "Damn it! You're just a loose cultivator. How dare you attack me? Men, kill this reckless, loose cultivator." Yukong was sent flying, blood spurting out of his mouth. He covered his face with one hand, and his eyes were filled with hatred as he continued to clamor. "Which bold, loose cultivator dares to come here and cause trouble? How dare you provoke us, major powers? Do you want to die?" Cold voices rang out one after another, followed by waves of surging aura. Many figures flew over to this side. Zi Chen had just made a move, and there were so many people shouting. Obviously, their reaction was a little too fast. Everyone soared into the sky, and there was a crazy killing intent circulating. "It's him, that damned loose cultivator. Everyone come and kill him." Yukong continued to clamor, his eyes filled with hatred. "If a tiger doesn't show its power, do you really think I'm a sick cat?" Zi Chen's expression was even colder. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. In the next moment, he turned into a ray of golden light and stepped forward. Overbearing fist. Essence, chi, and spirit merged. Zi Chen threw out a punch at the peak. The bright golden light was so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. On the fist light, there was a terrifying aura circulating. At this moment, Zi Chen seemed to have turned into a golden-armored war god. An aura of supremacy spread out. His cold eyes and overbearing fist shocked everyone. Yukong's expression changed drastically. He kept saying that he was a loose cultivator, but he naturally knew Zi Chen's identity. He had unparalleled combat strength and had killed many Yukong. However, he never thought that Zi Chen's temper would be so bad. He actually didn't care about the inheritance and killed him. Yukong took out his spirit weapon. Layers of energy barriers appeared. At this moment, the fist light locked down the heaven and earth. He couldn't even retreat. Pum! A loud sound resounded through the heaven and earth. It was as if a golden sun had exploded. An unparalleled aura spread out. Golden light rippled. Yukong's spirit weapon was instantly shattered. At the same time, the layers of light barriers were penetrated. Blood rained down, and broken bones fell to the ground. This arrogant Yukong exploded, shocking everyone, other than Zhang Haoqian, who had seen it before and wasn't surprised. Everyone else was staring with their eyes wide open. They could still accept killing a Yukong with one blow. However, to explode a Yukong was too unbelievable. It was too shocking. Oh my God, did I see it wrong? Zi Chen exploded a Yukong with one punch. You didn't see it wrong. He did explode with one punch. In the distance, there were still some loose cultivators who didn't retreat. At this moment, they were all stunned when they saw the scene. Zi Chen has become stronger again. In the past, he could only kill an early-stage Yukong, but now he directly exploded. That fist technique is very unusual. There were also some Yukong who were on good terms with them. They were watching from afar. Their eyes flickered. They were quite shocked. Squeak, squeak. Everyone was stunned. The little guy waved its little fist, showing off arrogantly. Its other little paw grabbed Zichen's hair as if it was playing on a swing. Killing our people as soon as you appear. Zichen, what is the meaning of this? A cold voice sounded. The hostile Yukong arrived. There were more than 10 of them. They stood in the air, their killing intent surging as they locked onto Zichen. What is the meaning of this? Even cats and dogs dare to provoke me. Do you think I'm a sick cat? Zichen looked up and swept his cold eyes around. Facing the dozens of Yukong experts, he wasn't afraid at all. How dare you? The Yukong roared, his voice shaking the sky. I think you guys are the ones who are being presumptuous. You've gone too far. Zhang Haotian stepped forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with Zichen. His aura surged. Since Zichen had already made his move, he naturally couldn't fall behind. As for the so-called overall situation, to hell with it. He had already recovered from his injuries a few days ago. Now that he had recovered to his peak, he wasn't a coward. He didn't mind making the situation more chaotic. Killing our people as soon as you arrive. Who is the one who's gone too far? This matter needs to be explained. Otherwise, the two of you can just stay here. One of the Yukong experts spoke. It was a mid-stage Yukong. That's because he deserves to die. Zichen's voice was cold. What means do you have? Use them all. I don't mind sending you on your way. You're quite savage. A mid-stage Yukong sneered. Cut the crap. If you want to fight, then fight. If not, then scram. Zhang Haotian also spoke. Since they want to die, then we'll fulfill their wishes. Everyone, enough. You've gone too far. Lu Bo spoke, interrupting the Yukong experts. Humph. Zichen killed people as soon as he arrived, and you say we've gone too far. Do you think killing people is justified? The group of Yukong experts were filled with murderous intent. Whether he deserves to die or not, you know best in your hearts. If you want to use this opportunity to cause trouble for Zichen, then you've miscalculated. Wang Shi also spoke. I don't understand what you're talking about. I only know that a life for a life. The mid-stage Yukong expert looked at Zichen and said, What, Zichen, you have the guts to kill people, but you don't have the guts to admit it? Do you have to rely on them every time? Cut the crap. If you want to die, then come. Zichen said coldly. All right, that's what you said. You've heard it. This has nothing to do with you. Zichen killed people, so he must pay with his life. What a bunch of noisy guys. You're always like flies. Back off. Today, I want to see how they'll make me pay with my life. Zichen's eyes became even colder. At this moment, there were dozens of Yukong experts around him. They were almost 80% of the enemy's experts. They were aggressive, so he didn't mind slaughtering them all. You have to be careful. The group of geniuses stepped back, but they all secretly transmitted their voices. Boom! At this moment, the sky trembled. A terrifying aura appeared above everyone's head, bringing with it a terrifying pressure. It fell on Zichen's head. That's an alchemy weapon. They've actually sent out an alchemy weapon. Everyone exclaimed. Boom. Chapter 382. Boom! The sky trembled as an alchemy weapon appeared, emitting a terrifying aura that shook people's hearts. Then, the sky trembled again as another alchemy weapon appeared from the opposite direction, raging with murderous intent. This is the aura of alchemy weapons, and there are 2 of them. 2 alchemy weapons at once. This is really a big move. 2 alchemy weapons at the same time. Is this a sneak attack to kill Zichen? Everyone exclaimed in disbelief. They all looked at the sky and saw the 2 alchemy weapons shining brightly, illuminating the sky. Their power was unparalleled, and boundless murderous intent surged. The aura of the alchemy weapons was too strong. Many people fell to the ground, and even more people began to flee. Obviously, they had guessed that there would be a devastating battle. Boom! Boom! But the two alchemy weapons were not the end. Then, two more explosions sounded, and two more alchemy weapons appeared in the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds in all directions, and the void kept twisting. The four alchemy weapons released a terrifying aura. Everyone trembled in fear. The space was twisting and trembling, and the aura of the alchemy weapons was devastating. Yukong, who was from the major forces, had already retreated far away. Ling Kong stood in the distance and sneered, taking pleasure in Yi Fuqian's misfortune. Everything was deliberate, and the ultimate goal was to use the four alchemy weapons to kill Ziqin. It was a perfect plan, and Ziqin would definitely die. In the distance, the four geniuses appeared, controlling the alchemy weapons and descending from the sky. Boundless aura swept out, and their faces were full of confidence. For alchemy weapons, everyone was dumbfounded. This was a one-hit kill. Moreover, it was a sneak attack. For alchemy weapons appeared, and a surging pressure covered the sky and the earth. The void was trembling. The other geniuses couldn't help even if they wanted to. And even if they did, it was too late. The four alchemy weapons fell toward Ziqin as soon as they appeared. Go! The aura of the alchemy weapons was terrifying. Ziqin shouted and asked Zhang Haoqian to quickly retreat. At the same time, he ignored the little fellow's resistance and threw it into Zhang Haoqian's arms. Ziqin's expression became extremely solemn. This was a sure kill attack, carefully calculated. His life was in danger. Zhang Haoqian refused to leave. He wanted to stay with Ziqin. Bang! Ziqin made a move. Under his great strength, he sent Zhang Haoqian flying. At the same time, the violet golden gourd between his eyebrows shone brilliantly. The lid of the gourd opened, and four rays of silver light shot out from within. The moment they appeared, they enlarged, and the silver light was resplendent. They were like four lightning dragons that filled the sky. They carried with them a world-destroying aura as they charged towards the four pill weapons. Rumble! The sky trembled as if thousands of thunderclaps were exploding. It was deafening, and the void began to shatter like a mirror. Terrifying energy waves spread out in all directions, wreaking havoc on everything. Ziqin's figure was instantly engulfed by the destructive energy and shattered along with the void. Humph! Let's see if you can still survive. The pill soldier was repelled and turned back. The four Zephyr geniuses sneered. The place where they fought had turned into a huge black hole. Heaven and earth had been devoured. Under this kind of destructive energy, Ziqin would definitely die. Puff! Puff! The energy surged and spread out in all directions. In an instant, many people lost their hearing and their minds went blank. Many of the Zephyr Realm cultivators who were watching the battle vomited blood. The four lightning dragons exploded. The power was too great. Everyone was glad that they ran fast enough. Otherwise, they would have died. Zhang Haoqian was swept by the energy waves and coughed out blood. His face was pale. However, his eyes were filled with unwillingness as he watched Ziqin being engulfed by the energy waves. You major forces, I, Zhang Haoqian, swear that I will not rest until I die. Zhang Haoqian roared hysterically. He became very crazy. Lu Bo, Lu Qin, and the others were also sad. Ziqin was engulfed by the destructive energy, just like that. Is Ziqin dead? Everyone was dumbfounded. One of the strongest Zephyr Realm cultivators died, just like that. He didn't die from our attacks. He died from his own trump card. Chu Sun stood in the distance and sneered. He ignored Zhang Haoqian's oath. If Ziqin was dead, how could he still be alive? They naturally knew that Ziqin had trump cards. Moreover, after fighting Ziqin for so many years, They had already figured out everything about Zichen. Since they dared to provoke him today, they naturally had the confidence to kill him. When the 4 alchemy weapons appeared, Zichen would have to use his trump cards if he wanted to live. However, when the weapons landed and the trump cards exploded, the surging energy would definitely engulf him. Moreover, it was the explosion of 4 trump cards. Each of them could injure an ancestor. When the 4 combined, the power was unimaginable. He deserves to die. Who asked him to be in the limelight? So what if he's strong? Without a brain, everything is useless. He's brave, but not smart. He deserves to die. The destructive energy was dissipating, and in an instant, the space within a few thousand meters exploded. On the ground, 100-meter deep crater appeared, and there were still traces of energy surging. Not to mention a mere true Yuan 9th celestial layer. Even a mid-Zephyr Realm expert would die under this energy without a doubt. Is that so? You guys are so confident. Suddenly, a cold and familiar voice sounded behind the 4. Impossible. The 4 recognized the owner of the voice and let out a strange cry. However, at this moment, a surging energy attacked them from behind. Pum! A huge force appeared, and the 4 monstrous geniuses were blown away. However, they didn't die. At the critical moment, a light screen appeared above the alchemy weapons, protecting them in the middle. The 4 of them were blown away and fell on the ground, looking very awkward. They turned to look at Zichen in shock. Impossible! How can you still be alive? This was the meticulous plan of the 4 of them. They had taken into account Zichen's extreme speed and the power of their trump cards. Only then did they come up with a plan to kill Zichen. Even if they had to lose one of their flight users, they had to delay Zichen and allow them to attack. They had thought that Zichen would die without a doubt. However, at this moment, Zichen was still alive. Not only was he not dead, he didn't even have any injuries on his body. At this moment, not only were the 4 monstrous geniuses dumbfounded, but even the other Zephyrs looked like they had seen a ghost. Wang Qiong and the others also didn't understand. Zichen had clearly been swallowed by the energy. So how could he appear behind the 4 of them without any injuries? Perhaps only Zhang Haoyan had a vague guess. His crazy expression slowly woke up and shock appeared in his eyes. Zichen is still alive. He's not dead, and he doesn't even have any injuries. The people watching the battle from afar were all dumbfounded. Zichen stood there without any injuries on his body. On his shoulder, a palm-sized little beast was waving its little fist at the 4 monstrous geniuses, expressing its dissatisfaction. No one saw that at the critical moment, it was this inconspicuous little guy that showed another extreme speed and saved Zichen. The 4 monstrous geniuses were shocked. Their expressions were as if they had seen a ghost. If I don't kill you, I'll be constantly schemed against. I won't be able to eat or sleep in peace. I don't think I'll miss this opportunity today. Zichen's voice was calm, but his words were incomparably cold. He didn't put the 4 monstrous geniuses in his eyes before, but today, if it wasn't for this little guy, he would really be dead. Zichen was really determined to kill them at all costs. Of course, it was possible that he was doing it for the pill weapons above their heads. After all, it was something he dreamed of. We have pill weapons. You dare to kill us? The 4 of them shouted, their eyes filled with ferocity. Swoosh! Zichen moved. He didn't talk nonsense, and his expression returned to normal. However, his attack was very fast. In an instant, he appeared in front of Chu Sun and threw out a tyrannical punch. Buzz! The punch shook the heavens and the earth, and a terrifying aura surged. The resplendent fist light illuminated the heavens and the earth, reflecting Zichen's cold eyes. Huh! Chu Sun shouted, not to be outdone. Above the pill weapon, a light screen appeared, emitting a cold aura, blocking in front of him. Pum! With a loud vibration, Chu Sun was sent flying. The light screen above the pill weapon didn't break, but the powerful vibration made Chu Sin cough up blood. Zi-Chin, you're courting death! The monstrous genius of the Tsang family shouted. He controlled the pill weapon above his head and attacked Zi-Chin with a sure-kill attack. The pill weapon's power was boundless, causing the space to distort. It turned into a ray of light and rushed toward Zi-Chin. Boom! Zi-Chin didn't talk nonsense. The silver light between his eyebrows flashed again, and the thunder dragon appeared, rushing towards the pill weapon. In the sky, another explosion sounded. The pill weapon took the attack and turned back, while the monstrous genius of the Tsang family was sent flying. Buzz! Buzz! At the same time, the pill weapon vibrated, and two terrifying auras appeared. The monstrous genius of the martial ancestor and the monstrous genius of the Li family controlled their pill weapons at the same time and attacked Zi-Chin. The attack of the two alchemy weapons was peerless, causing everyone's expression to change. It was obvious that they wanted to kill Zi-Chin. Let's see how many trump cards you have. The two of them shouted, and their eyes flashed coldly. With the pill weapons in hand, they weren't afraid of Zi-Chin. Zi-Chin, we're here to help you. A loud shout suddenly sounded, and the sky trembled. Two more alchemy weapons appeared, but they were here to help Zi-Chin. Lu Qin and Wang Shi controlled their pill weapons and rushed towards the pill weapons of the Li family and the martial ancestor. Boom! The pill weapons collided in the sky, and a destructive aura burst out. More people were shocked, and they retreated. At this moment, 6 pill weapons appeared in the sky. Swoosh! Zi-Chin turned into a ray of light and rushed towards the monstrous genius of the Tsang family. He was injured by his trump card, and Zi-Chin decided to kill him first. Die! The monstrous genius of the Tsang family waved his pill weapon again, and a ray of light appeared. It was enough to kill a Zephyr. Boom! Zi-Chin was ruthless. He had steeled his heart to kill. Another trump card was played. The dome of heaven trembled and shattered. The Tsang family monster was once again forced back with the pill weapon in hand. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood and was heavily injured again. Zi-Chin, go to hell! Chu Sin, who had caught his breath, also rushed towards Zi-Chin with his pill weapon. Zi-Chin's eyes flashed coldly. He was completely crazy today, and he was determined to kill. Don't use your trump cards again. I'll help you block one of them. Wu Mo said indifferently. Then he also rushed into the sky with a pill weapon. 7 pill weapons. Chapter 383. 7 elixir weapons, coupled with Zi-Chin's trump card, caused an energy fluctuation that could destroy heaven and earth. Everyone retreated in horror, fearing that they would be affected by the energy. Zi-Chin was determined to kill. He kept chasing after the genius of the Tsang family, while the little guy grabbed his hair tightly, fearing that he would fall. Puff! Blood rained down. The genius of the Tsang family was sent flying again. The elixir weapon in his hand almost slipped out. On the other side, the 6 elixir weapons collided, and an unparalleled destructive aura burst out. This was an intense battle. Even the heavens were blasted apart. It was like the surface of a mirror, a large area shattering. Wang Shi, as a member of the Wang family of Yunxia City, had a cold expression. He held a long sword in his hand. When he attacked with his elixir weapon, the power was even stronger. Lu Qin was a simple and honest little butterball. He rarely fought with others and was very kind. At this moment, he was not willing to be outdone. He held his elixir weapon and attacked fiercely. The martial ancestor was forced to retreat, and the elixir weapon in his hand kept shaking. As a member of a refining family, Lu Chen's elixir weapon was naturally not ordinary. Its quality was much higher. It was even more so for Wu Mo. His powers were very strong to begin with, and he dared to fight Zi-Chin and the good and evil monk. When he made a breakthrough to the airborne realm, He alerted the great ancestor of the martial arts clan, who taught him battle techniques of the martial arts clan and gave him alchemy weapons. Chu Sun was already injured. As soon as the two sides fought, he was suppressed by Wu Mo. He was really frustrated to the extreme. Boom! Above the sky, energy kept ringing. Several elixir weapons made beautiful attacks, which made people tremble in fear. The genius of the Tsang family was suppressed by Zichen with his elixir weapon. Under Zichen's continuous attacks, he could not launch an effective counterattack at all. He could only passively defend. Zichen's attack was very strong, but it still could not break the light curtain of the elixir weapon. However, he was able to hurt his opponent through the light curtain. The genius of the Tsang family coughed up blood and was sent flying again and again. And during this time, Zichen once again played a trump card, blasting the Tsang clan freak even further away. Zichen, if you really just want to kill people, you can use your trump card as you please. But if you want to use a pill weapon, I advise you to give up and save your trump card. At this moment, Wang Qiong's voice rang out. Zichen frowned slightly, not understanding what Wang Qiong meant. Pill weapons are too precious. Even in a large faction, there aren't many of them. It's impossible to take them away. At the very least, it's impossible now. They haven't truly recognized a master. The one controlling them is still their original master. These geniuses are only temporarily borrowing them, explained Wang Qiong. Zichen clearly hadn't expected that Pill Soldier would say such a thing. He had thought that he would be able to take away the Tsang family's freak after killing him. He had wasted a few of his trump cards for nothing. His heart was filled with regret, and he couldn't wait to kill the Tsang family freak. Terrifying lightning was dormant in the purple golden gourd, but there weren't many of them. It was impossible for there to be no limit. Now that he heard that he couldn't get his hands on the pill weapon, Zichen was very depressed. He didn't want to use his trump card anymore. The only thing he could do now was to slowly kill his opponent. Domineering fist. Zichen shouted, his body glowing with golden light. He threw out a domineering punch, causing the heaven and earth to tremble. Boom! As the punch landed, the pill weapon's light screen trembled. It was almost blown away by Zichen, and the Tsang family freak was also coughing out blood. Enough! Everyone stop! Suddenly, a cold voice rang out. A powerful aura surged from the horizon. Such a huge commotion finally alerted the experts, who were in the middle of a meeting. Everyone stop! What's going on? Figures flashed, emitting powerful auras. Each of them was at the late stage of the Imperial Sky Realm, and there were even some at the peak of the Imperial Sky Realm. Wu Mo and the others withdrew their pill weapons and stood in the air. The battle stopped. Pum! But on the other side, Zichen had no intention of stopping because the Tsang family freak was on the verge of death. A few more attacks, and he might be able to kill him. After wasting 4 trump cards and not being able to get the pill weapon, Zichen was very depressed. He was very unwilling to accept this. He could only kill his opponent 1 punch at a time to vent his anger. He jumped up high like a big bird and attacked the Tsang family freak. Not being able to fly had always been Zichen's weakness. Save me. The Tsang family freak was completely stunned. If it wasn't for the pill weapon's protection, he would have died at least dozens of times. Now that he saw the experts from his family coming, he weakly cried for help. Stop! I said stop. Do you hear me? Seeing the miserable state of their freak, the Tsang family's expert was furious and shouted. His voice shook the sky. This was simply a disgrace. Every time Zichen appeared, he would beat up their clan's monstrous geniuses. Every time, it was a slap in the face. What was even more pathetic was that their clan's monstrous geniuses could not beat Zichen. Pum! But Zichen acted as if he didn't hear anything. He threw out another punch. The glaring fist light made many people close their eyes subconsciously. The Tsang family freak coughed out blood and was sent flying again. He was on the verge of death. Stop! Stop right there! A murderous intent flashed in the eyes of the Tsang family's expert. In the next moment, the pill weapon protecting the Tsang family freak suddenly trembled, and a crazy aura swept across. Zi-Chen's heart skipped a beat. The power of the pill weapon was at least a few times stronger, and it gave him a sense of danger. Swoosh! His powerful spiritual sense sensed danger. Golden light flashed under his feet, and he flew a few hundred meters away. Silently, a crack appeared where Zi-Chen was standing. The void was cut open, and the pill weapon seemed to have turned into a blurry shadow and disappeared in a flash. How vicious! Zi-Chen retreated again. His eyes flashed coldly, and he used his extreme speed step technique again. Then the pill weapon flew over again. It was like a light shadow, and wherever it passed, cracks appeared in the void. That's enough, Brother Tsang, Lu Mingyong said, controlling the pill weapon in Lu Chen's hand to block the Tsang family's pill weapon. When the two collided, only a light sound was heard, but the void kept shattering. Huge cracks kept spreading, and it was shocking. Zi-Chen stepped on the lightning flash and retreated at an extremely fast speed. This was because he felt a sense of danger at the very first moment. Boom! Just as he left the place, the void trembled, and a huge hole appeared in the void. Another person controlled the pill weapon and attacked Zi-Chen. What do you mean by this? Lu Mingyong was furious. He controlled the pill weapon and blocked another attack for Zi-Chen. This brat is really bold. He's not strong enough, but he always goes against us. I'll let him know what the dignity of the strong is, and what it means to be inviolable. The Chu family expert said. With a move of his spiritual sense, the pill weapon of the Chu family automatically flew out and attacked Zi-Chen. Humph! Zi-Chen snorted and said angrily they deserve to die. Are they the only ones allowed to kill me, and I'm not allowed to do anything? You guys are really overbearing. He used his extremely fast footwork and retreated continuously. During this period of time, the space where he retreated continued to shatter. There were 4 elixir weapons that shot towards Zi-Chen, interweaving back and forth. The little guy didn't say a word. He grabbed Zi-Chen's hair tightly, but there was anger in his blood-red eyes. You guys are really shameless. If you want to kill me, just say it. Zi-Chen said coldly, but he was still calm. It's not that we're shameless. It's that you don't know the rules. You've offended someone you shouldn't have. The enemy expert sneered and controlled the pill weapon to attack. Enough. Don't you think you've gone too far? Lu Mingyong said. Brother Lu, it's not that we've gone too far. It's that this brat is too overbearing. Every time he appears, he's looking for trouble with us. We have to kill him. That's right. If we don't kill this brat, how can we stand in this area in the future? That's because you guys provoked Zi-Chen first. You only saw them being killed, but you didn't see the scene where he killed them. Or was this all planned by you guys? Zhang Haotian stood in the distance and said angrily, Kid, you don't have the right to speak here. You don't know the rules at all. You've gone too far. Fine, I'll teach you a lesson today, one of the Zephyr Realm experts said. Then, with a sweep of his spiritual sense, the pill weapon rushed toward Zhang Haotian. How was this a lesson? It was killing. Clang! With a light sound, a pill weapon appeared in front of Zhang Haotian, blocking the attack for him. Enough! Stop! It was the expert of the Wang family. All right, then we'll let this disrespectful brat go. But Zi-Chen must die. The pill weapon quickly turned and attacked Zi-Chen again. Facing the attacks of several pill weapons, Zi-Chen wasn't as angry as expected at this moment. In fact, his expression was somewhat calm. He just retreated quickly and didn't even use his trump card. Not good. Stop him. He's going to the ancient corpse. Don't let him go. Several monsters exclaimed. Obviously, They had guessed Zichen's purpose. They were afraid that he would go to the ancient corpse and get the inheritance. You want to get the inheritance? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The expert controlling the pill weapon sneered with a mocking expression. If these monsters could see it, so could they. But there was no way a brat in the true energy realm could reach a place that even the pill weapon couldn't break through. It was even more impossible for him to get the inheritance. Zichin used the Thunderbolt step technique. His body was like a phantom, constantly moving. At the same time, his hands were forming seals again. This was a set of complicated seals. Zichin hadn't used it for a long time because its power wasn't very strong. It was no longer suitable for this level of battle. But today, under the attack of the pill weapon, Zichin chose to use it. Rumble. After the last seal was formed, rays of golden light appeared in front of Zichin. There were at least thousands of them, like golden lightning. Thunderbolt finger, roared Zichin. Over 1,000 bolts of lightning shot out in all directions. Some of them shattered as soon as they came into contact with the pill weapons. They were completely useless. Useless brat. You won't be able to escape today. Several experts sneered. There was something wrong with the situation. Lu Mingyong and the others, who usually supported Zichin, didn't continue to persuade him. As for the enemy in the air, they continued to kill. Thunderbolt finger. Zichin shouted again. Thousands of lightning bolts were shot out. Zichin was not far from the ancient corpse. He could feel the terrifying aura. Bah! What **T is this thunderbolt finger? How dare such a rubbish thing be called such a name? The lightning bolts in the sky were shattered again. One of the experts said in disdain. During this time, many of them attacked Zichin. Even with the extreme step technique, Zichin was still injured. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. But he didn't care. He continued to use the extreme step technique and gave up on other battle techniques. He just used the Thunderbolt finger. Damn it! What rubbish Thunderbolt finger! The experts scolded in disdain. Boom! But in the next moment, a violent aura appeared. It was like thousands of lightning bolts were exploding. A thick lightning bolt fell from the sky like a finger of lightning. P.S. October Update Plan. Chapter 384. Zichin was being besieged by several Imperial Sky Warriors, but the forces that usually protected Zichin were actually watching from the sidelines. During this period, Zichin kept on using the useless Thunderbolt finger, which was even more strange. Boom! But in the next moment, heaven and earth violently shook, and a terrifying aura emerged from the sky. A thick thunderbolt, emitting a dazzling silver light, fell from the sky. The sudden, unforeseen event stunned everyone. The thick thunderbolt was like a fingerprint surrounded by silver light and carrying a destructive aura. It fell from the sky and rushed towards the Imperial Sky Warrior. This was a mid-stage Imperial Sky Warrior who previously attacked Zichin and said that the Thunderbolt finger was a trash combat skill with a look of disdain. But in the next moment, a Thunderbolt fingerprint rushed towards him, and a destructive aura locked onto him. The terrifying Thunderbolt fingerprint made the Imperial Sky Warrior let out a strange cry. He hurriedly activated his spiritual weapon and put up a defense. He looked as if he had seen a ghost, because this attack was not made by Zichin at all. Boom! Silver light scattered, and the Thunderbolt energy raged. The fingerprint hit the Imperial Sky Warrior, and in an instant the spiritual weapon exploded. The endless defense dissipated, and the fingerprint exploded. Lightning surged, and silver light shone. Under the shocked expression of everyone, the mid-stage Imperial Sky Warrior exploded instantly, and his soul was destroyed. Such a scene stunned everyone. No one knew what had happened, and the appearance of the fingerprint was even more strange. And looking at the distance, Chen looked over with a cold expression, and his eyes were filled with mockery. What the hell is going on? Why did a thunderbolt fingerprint appear in the sky? Could it be that Chen summoned it? Even further away, everyone was shocked, and they did not understand why a thunderbolt fingerprint would fall and kill an Imperial Sky Warrior. Brat, is this your doing? A group of Imperial Sky Warriors looked at Chen with cold killing intent. He's just courting death. The thunderbolt finger is broad and profound, and it's a divine skill. How can a mere mortal blaspheme it? He spoke without thinking and blasphemed the divine skill. This is the punishment of the heavens. Chen sneered, and his clear voice spread across the whole place. Brat, you're talking nonsense. Don't try to scare me with your words. It's up to you whether to believe it or not. Anyway, that mortal blasphemed the divine skill and angered the divine spirit. The divine spirit sent down world-destroying lightning and died in the thunder punishment, Chen said. Bullshit. That thunderbolt finger of yours is a divine skill. Someone from Yukong said in disdain. He didn't believe it at all. Moreover, Chen kept on calling him a mortal, as if he was a swindler. You mortals, open your dog eyes and see if this is a godly skill. Chen's voice was loud and resplendent. His body was surrounded by a dazzling golden light. Like a god, he formed another hand seal. It was the thunderbolt finger again, transforming into millions of thunderbolts. Rumble. Lightning wreaked havoc. Golden light flickered, and thousands of lightning bolts appeared, covering the sky and covering the earth. They were like dazzling lightning snakes rushing forward. Swoosh! Amid-stage, Yukong made a move. With a wave of his sleeve, a strong energy appeared and turned into a gust of wind, blowing away the lightning bolts in the sky. Aya, you mortal! How dare you blaspheme the divine skill? This is disrespect to the gods. The lightning that filled the sky dissipated. Chen let out a strange cry, and an exaggerated expression appeared on his face. Bullsh *T. Stop pretending to be a ghost here. If this Bullsh *T thing is a divine skill, then mine is a main god skill. Zephyr scolded angrily. No matter how he looked at Chen, he felt that he was a fraud. He did not believe him at all. You're blaspheming the divine skill. You're blaspheming the owner of the divine skill. Chen's face darkened. Such a rubbish thing. Divine skill? I think it's more like a fart. Yukong was still disdainful. Boom! Suddenly there was an explosion in the sky. The void cracked open, and a dazzling silver light appeared. Another fingerprint fell from the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. How can this be? The fingerprint appeared again. Everyone's expression changed, but this time several strong people were prepared and didn't panic. Boom! Boom! In an instant, for alchemy weapons flew into the sky, surging with a terrifying aura. They were completely berserk. Controlled by the late-stage Yukong, they rushed toward the fingerprint. The void cracked open. The 4 alchemy weapons were like 4 giant dragons, shining with colorful light. They flew against the sky and faced the fingerprint. But the fingerprint was terrifying. Its surface was shining with silver light, and a terrifying aura flowed. It rushed toward the mid-stage Yukong, and the alchemy weapons were directly pushed back by the silver light. The 4 alchemy weapons couldn't block the fingerprint. In the next moment, the fingerprint touched Yukong's body. The latter let out a scream, and his body exploded along with the fingerprint. The silver light dissipated, and the energy disappeared. But the scream still echoed in the sky, making people's hair stand. The appearance of the finger imprint was too strange. Everyone was shocked. How is it, I said, that this is the result of blaspheming the divine skill? It's a divine skill, and its power is unparalleled. How can you mortals judge it? Chen stood in the distance and said again. He was still talking about mortals acting like a fraud. Squeak. On his shoulder, The little guy was also jumping and squeaking. It also had the potential to be a fraud. Everyone was dumbfounded, and they didn't understand what was going on. Was it just a sentence? That was impossible. Everyone was surprised, but they didn't believe that it was a divine skill. Most of them guessed that it was Ziqin. They were all wondering if it was another trump card of Ziqin. Wang Qiong and the others, as well as the few Yukong experts who were on good terms with them, frowned. They had received a message from Ziqin telling them not to move for the time being. As for why, no one knew. Ziqin put on the appearance of a charlatan. He was calm and composed, which shocked everyone. That lightning finger was really powerful. Even the 4 alchemy weapons were pushed back. Who could compete with it? The Yukong experts of the opposing forces all had gloomy faces. They didn't know what was going on. One of them looked at Yukong, hinting at him with his eyes. The latter nodded. His eyelids twitched, and the corners of his eyes twitched. However, he still mustered up his courage and said, "Kid, don't try to trick people here. You're just a mortal. How could you know about divine skills?" This Yukong was clearly terrified. He couldn't even speak clearly when he spoke. Impudent! Ziqin's shout was like rolling thunder, scaring the other party. He then shouted, "You mortals, how can you understand the power of a divine skill? You are all blind. How can you tell the difference between a divine skill and a divine skill?" At this moment, Ziqin looked like a fraud. Many people chuckled. No matter how they looked at it, Ziqin looked like an unreliable fraud. But it was this unreliable appearance that shocked the major forces. No one dared to act rashly. It was better to believe than not. Yukong didn't dare to refute Ziqin's roar, but he was warned by the fierce eyes of his own experts. He could only brace himself and said, "Humph, what divine skill! Why don't you show us again?" "All right, since you want to see a divine skill, I'll show you again." Ziqin's expression made many people want to slap him, but no one dared to. They all felt that it was too strange. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Between Ziqin's fingers, hand seals appeared again. It was the thunderbolt finger again. Thousands of lightning snakes appeared, shining brilliantly, covering the sky. It was an ordinary hand seal with an ordinary might. There was nothing special about it. Everyone present was flying. There was nothing that could make their eyes light up. With a wave of his sleeve, the so-called divine skill vanished without a trace, not even leaving behind a trace of dust. This is a divine skill. Everyone was dumbfounded. Even if they looked at it several times, they still couldn't see where this divine skill was. Not to mention Yukong. Even many true energy realm experts in the distance looked down on this set of seals. There was nothing special about it. This is a quack, a living quack, a liar. This was everyone's thought. But because of the previous 2 strange events, no one dared to say it out loud. He must be playing tricks. You should test him again. The Zephyr cultivator transmitted his voice to Ziqin, but his eyes were fixed on Ziqin, waiting for him to make a move. Yukong's face was covered in cold sweat, but he really couldn't see where the lightning finger was. So he braced himself and said, "Bah, what kind of rubbish technique is this? Don't try to scare people here." Yukong was very cautious. He didn't say anything about God. He only said that the technique was rubbish. In his opinion, it was disrespectful because he said God. After all, God was an existence that should be respected. Boom! But the void was still shattered. A lightning finger appeared, emitting the same terrifying aura. During this time, Ziqin didn't move. He just sneered. "Don't save me." Yukong was frightened and cried for help. For Dan weapons appeared again. Light flashed, and they went against the sky. But still, they couldn't stop the lightning finger. The lightning finger fell, killing Yukong. Simple and direct. This time, more people were dumbfounded. The way they looked at Ziqin changed. Everyone was guessing whether it was really a divine skill and Ziqin was really a divine messenger. But obviously, Neither of these 2 points was enough to convince people. But the truth was in front of them. How about it, you mortals? Do you still want to see the power of the divine skill? Zichen asked. This time no one answered. 3 people died in a row. It was obviously not a coincidence. Maybe there was something strange about that battle technique. All the enemies flew. Their faces were gloomy, but they didn't attack. They were all hesitant. You mortals have already seen the divine skill and know that I'm a divine messenger. Why don't you retreat? Do you want to see the divine skill again? Zichen's words made people tremble. 3 people had seen the divine skill, and 3 people died. No one wanted to see it again. Well, I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. If you mortals want to worship the divine skill, you can come to me at any time, Zichen said and turned to leave. No, he's just pretending. Maybe there's something wrong with the battle technique, but we can just attack him directly. It won't attract the lightning tribulation. Suddenly a voice was heard. It was a genius who reacted. His words woke everyone up. Everyone was enlightened. Before, when they attacked Zichen, there was no problem. It was only because someone said that there was something wrong with the battle technique that it attracted the lightning tribulation. 3 people died in a row. They were all shocked and ignored the fundamental problem. They all thought that killing Zichen would attract the lightning finger attack. Kill. Several Zephyr Realm cultivators regained their confidence. This time, they were full of killing intent. The Dan weapons trembled and burst out with an unparalleled aura. They rushed toward Zichen crazily. This time, if they hit Zichen, he would definitely die. Chapter 385. The sky trembled, and the pale weapons emitted a terrifying aura. They rushed toward Zichen, and at the same time, all kinds of attacks arrived. They wanted to kill Zichen in one blow. Several pale weapons and dozens of attacks. Not to mention that Zichen was only at the true energy boundary. Even if he was at the peak of the Zephyr boundary, he would definitely die. However, Zichen did not dodge. Instead, he shouted loudly. His voice was like thousands of thunderbolts exploding at the same time, shaking the sky. You dare to attack the people of the Thunder Clan? You're bullying us. The rolling voice reverberated between heaven and earth. What the F***CK is this, Thunder Clan? You're playing tricks again. This time, it's useless even if you say you're the Thunder God. Go to hell. Someone cursed again. Zichen's appearance made them extremely unhappy. They were scared before, but this time they would not be fooled again. Boom! The sky trembled, and even more terrifying attacks fell. These enemies attacked with earth-shattering attacks, wanting to kill Zichen in an instant. Those who offend the Thunder Clan die. Suddenly a shout rang out. The cold voice covered everything, causing people to tremble. Then it was as if a peerless calamity had come back to life, and a terrifying aura filled the sky. Heaven and earth turned silvery white in an instant. Thousands of lightning bolts appeared at the same time, illuminating the sky. It was like a chain of heaven and earth, connecting the entire sky. Rumble. Thunder exploded, and a terrifying aura surged. Lightning tribulation appeared. Thousands of lightning bolts wreaked havoc, like a scene of destruction. This is lightning tribulation. Heavens, why is there lightning tribulation? And there are so many of them. It's like a sea of lightning. Is Zichen really the Thunder God? What's going on? First, there was the Thunderbolt finger, then thousands of lightning tribulation. Who is Zichen? Looking at the sea of lightning formed by tens of thousands of lightning bolts, everyone was stunned. Thousands of lightning bolts formed a sea of lightning, directly enveloping the enemies in the sky. The rolling thunder was deafening. It's that ancient corpse. It's him who launched the lightning tribulation. It's not lightning tribulation. It's the ancient corpse that's mutated. The sky was filled with lightning, dyeing the heaven and earth silver. Lightning dragons danced, twisting and twisting, emitting a terrifying aura. All the attacks that were launched through the air were destroyed one after another. At the same time, the 4-pill weapons were also repelled by the lightning and turned back. Seeing this scene, the faces of all the enemies in the air changed. This was an anomaly caused by the ancient corpses. In the past, when they attacked with their alchemy weapons, such a situation had occurred. However, there were only a few dozen lightning bolts, unlike today, where there were tens of thousands of lightning bolts. How can this be? How can Zi-Qin make the ancient corpse? Could it be that he stimulated the ancient corpse to kill? The lightning dragon wreaked havoc, and a destructive aura rippled outwards. Quite a few people cried out miserably in the air as they suffered from the lightning attacks. Even more people were shocked. At this moment, Zi-Qin was standing in the middle of the Sea of Thunder. His body was covered by a layer of golden light, and he looked like the god of thunder. Thousands of lightning bolts flashed, but they couldn't hurt him at all. Rumble! The lightning was raging. Thousands of lightning dragons twisted and twisted, carrying a destructive aura that could destroy everything. Boom! Wherever the lightning dragons passed, there would be a series of explosions. Blood rained down from the sky. One of the enemies only had time to let out a scream before he was killed by the lightning. It was an extremely terrifying scene. Thousands of lightning dragons formed a sea of lightning. The enemies in the sky were surrounded by the sea of lightning, and they were all dead. The lightning continued to explode, and the destructive aura rippled. Another enemy in the sky died, and his scream echoed in the sky. The power of the lightning dragons was boundless. Thousands of lightning dragons formed a destructive force that swept through everything. In the distance, many people were dumbfounded. The scene in front of them was obviously beyond everyone's expectation. Zi-Qin stood under thousands of lightning bolts, and he was unscathed. However, the enemies in the sky were killed one by one. So terrifying. Seems like Zi-Qin has triggered the ancient corpse's obsession. It's just an obsession, and it has such power. How strong was the ancient corpse when it was alive? In the distance, Lu Bo, Wang Shi, and the others were shocked by the power of the lightning. At the same time, they were curious about how Zi-Qin triggered the obsession. Ah, help! Zi-Qin, you're a demon. You'll die a horrible death if you kill us. Screams echoed, and curses were constantly heard. The enemies in the sky fled, trying to rush out of the sea of lightning. Humph, you should be prepared to be killed if you want to kill. Everything that happened today is your own fault. Zi-Qin's voice was cold. Seeing the enemies in the sky die one by one, his expression didn't change at all. Instead, he felt a sense of satisfaction. The major forces wanted to kill him and his friends. They schemed, tricked, and used all kinds of methods. Everything that happened today was their own fault, and they deserved it. As soon as he arrived at this area, Zi-Qin felt a vague wave of energy. It was similar to a summoning, affecting his mind and calling him forward. After he used the extreme speed movement technique, the summoning became even more intense. It was as if there was an aura of the same origin in front of him. Therefore, Zi-Qin had a guess. When the Supreme Elder came here, he obtained 2 secret manuals. One of them was the Thunderbolt finger, and the other was the 9 flashes of lightning. The 9 flashes of lightning resonated with each other, and only Zi-Qin could sense it. Then came the Thunderbolt finger. Zi-Qin wanted to use the Thunderbolt finger to trigger the ancient corpse's obsession. Of course, Zi-Qin was not 100% sure that he would succeed. This was also a gamble. The immortal ancient corpse's obsession was indeed extraordinary. No one disappointed Zi-Qin. They really had some kind of consciousness, which was activated by Zi-Qin. Therefore, the Thunderbolt finger appeared. Any cultivator who insulted the Thunderbolt finger would be killed by it. However, the major powers reacted quickly. They knew that there was a problem with the Thunderbolt finger, so they turned to kill him without saying a word. Therefore, Zichen shouted again. He didn't know what the Thunder Clan was, but Zichen knew that the ancient corpse was from the Thunder Clan, because before this, Wang Qiong had given him an ancient imprint, and old Mo had translated it. There were the words Thunder Clan in it. Ah, help! The lightning continued to wreak havoc. Miserable cries rang out as the bodies of those in the air exploded. The remaining ones were still bitterly holding on, crying for help. But at this moment, in the midst of the lightning, even the late-stage flight realm cultivators with pill weapons couldn't break through, let alone them. Is he going to kill everyone? The power of lightning is indeed terrifying. Even the experts with pill weapons can't break through. This is a sign that he's going to obliterate all the enemies in the air. This move of Zichen's is ruthless enough. It is ruthless enough. If everyone dies this time, the major powers in the outside world will probably go crazy. The spectators in the distance were incomparably shocked. The lightning was like a giant beast, devouring everything. Everyone seemed to be struggling to resist the lightning. During this period, the flight realm cultivators kept dying. Curses, curses, cries for help, and wails rang out continuously, but they still couldn't save them. Zichen looked at them coldly. His expression was indifferent, but he couldn't wait for them to die immediately. In the distance, everyone exclaimed. Apparently, Zichen had once again performed a magnificent feat and killed the flight realm cultivators. The lightning was wreaking havoc. The early-stage flight realm cultivators would explode with a touch, turning into a rain of blood. The four monsters had some tricks up their sleeves. Although they were still alive, they were injured again and again. Their bodies were on the verge of collapsing. They tried everything, but they couldn't break out. They were all in despair. There was no solution to this place. No one could break out. This was a dead zone. Even if they were unwilling, there was nothing they could do. Everyone, don't move. Stay where you are. Suddenly, a late-stage flight realm cultivator with a pale weapon shouted, "Don't move. Don't use your energy. Don't try to escape. Stay where you are." Another voice sounded, spreading throughout the whole place. Everyone was in despair. At this moment, after hearing the words of the flight realm cultivator, many people subconsciously stopped. Their eyes were filled with confusion and doubt. But soon, they realized that although the lightning was still raging, it didn't continue to attack. They gave up on escaping and resisting, but they were still alive. How could this be? Looking at the lightning flashing in front of everyone, everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. Just now, the lightning bolts were still actively attacking, cutting off quite a lot of Zephyr. However, at this moment, the lightning bolts actually stopped attacking. The sky was full of silver light and lightning. It was still terrifying, but it didn't actively kill. As long as they didn't move, the lightning would no longer explode. What's going on? Everyone was dumbfounded, including Zichen. In his opinion, by triggering his obsession and triggering thousands of lightning bolts, he would definitely be able to kill everyone, and he would also be able to obtain the 4 pill weapons. It could be said to be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, everything in front of him instantly shattered his wishful thinking. It must be the obsession. Soon, Zichen reacted. When the obsession was alive, it was a true human powerhouse. It must have the heart of a powerhouse. At this moment, even if it had turned into an obsession, it still wouldn't want to kill innocent people, especially those who were in despair. Zichen was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He couldn't control the obsession. Phew! After surviving, the enemies gasped for breath. Their eyes were filled with joy, but they didn't let down their guard because the lightning field hadn't disappeared. He didn't die. What a lucky bastard! Zhang Haotian cursed. He was very unhappy. Boom! Suddenly, the sky trembled again. A terrifying aura emerged from the lightning field. The entire lightning field was shaking, as if a powerful figure was about to awaken. This is The next moment, everyone's expression changed. They were overwhelmed with shock and exclaimed. At the center of the lightning field, a tall figure suddenly appeared. His feet were on the ground, and his head was on the sky. He was like a giant of heaven and earth. His figure was imposing, and his boundless power made the entire lightning field tremble. That's the ancient corpse. Could it be that he's alive? His figure was blurry. His back was facing everyone, but there was a monstrous power spreading out. He looked to the east, his eyes emitting a terrifying light. In the lightning field, everyone was terrified. At this moment, they couldn't say a word. Their bodies had already landed on the ground. Under the powerful pressure of the phantom, they were kneeling on the ground. They couldn't even raise their heads. Only Zichen was still standing there, his body shining with golden light, forming a shield that blocked the endless pressure. He was still standing there, looking up at the phantom. Who can bury me back to the Lightning Clan? Chapter 386. In the Thunder region, a tall figure appeared. It was very majestic, comparable to heaven and earth. His figure was blurry, and he looked to the east with his back facing everyone. His body was surging with a terrifying aura. In the Thunder Sea, except for Zichen, who was standing alone, everyone else was kneeling as if they were kowtowing to the supreme of the human race. They were so frightened that they did not dare to raise their heads. The blurry figure was too strong. Even the late stage and peak of the Zephyr realm had to kneel. In the distance, the others were surprised. Obviously, the appearance of the figure was beyond everyone's expectation. Could it be that the ancient corpse has been resurrected? Everyone was scared. This figure was suspected to be a resurrected ancient corpse. Many people were so shocked that they retreated. It's not the ancient corpse that has been resurrected. It's the obsession that has been completely activated. Someone said, just the resurrection of the obsession had such power. It was even more terrifying. The ancient corpse was protected by an inexplicable energy. No one could get close to it. At this moment, it was still sitting there, looking to the east, motionless. Beside it, the ancient words were emitting a brilliant light. These were all characters from before the ancient times. Extremely ancient, the foundation of his will. The tall figure looked to the east and muttered to himself, "Who can bury me back to the Thunder Clan?" No one could understand these ancient words, but through the fluctuation of spiritual thoughts, everyone could understand the meaning of these words. Is this the inheritance? Could this be the key to opening the inheritance? The resurrection of the obsession, the opening of the inheritance. I wonder who can obtain it. Everyone became excited. The obsession of the ancient corpse was to return to the Thunder Clan. That should be his hometown. The obsession did not disappear even after death. There must be someone he cared about there. Everyone guessed that the condition for obtaining the inheritance was to promise the other party to bring his bones back to the Thunder Clan. In a short moment, many people thought of many things. I can. Senior, I can bury you back to the Thunder Clan. In the Thunder region, a man stood up, his eyes full of excitement. After the illusory figure spoke, the pressure around him disappeared. It was as if he was reminiscing about an old friend. Although he was still tall, he no longer had the bearing of an expert. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and stood up. However, the sea of lightning was still there. No one dared to act rashly. Senior, I can definitely bring you back to the Thunder Clan. Yukong rubbed his hands excitedly as he made a solemn vow. His reaction was very quick as he was the first to answer. His gaze swept around as he was immensely pleased with himself. As for where the Thunder Clan was, he didn't know, and there was no need for him to know. Quite a few people were glaring at him, feeling vexed inwardly. Boom! The silent sea of lightning suddenly turned violent. Following that, streaks of lightning surged and rushed towards Yukong, who had opened his mouth. With a loud explosion, blood rained down, and Yukong's body was destroyed. The illusory figure still had its back facing the crowd. It did not move at all, as if it did not hear Yukong's words of affirmation. Everything was like the sea of lightning itself, destroying Yukong who had spoken. Everyone was dumbfounded. They did not understand why the sea of lightning suddenly turned berserk. Many of the people who had regretful expressions and thought that their reactions were too slow could not help but shudder when Yukong died. I left for thousands of years in search of the Thunder Clan's inheritance. I went through countless battles, big and small, and narrowly escaped death. In the end, I found the Thunderbolt Finger and 9 deaths of Thunder Clan's battle skills. Above the ancient words, brilliance flashed and shone brightly. The illusory figure seemed to be immersed in his memories as he muttered to himself. He was speaking in the ancient language, so no one could understand it. However, the fluctuation of spiritual thoughts made everyone understand. Hearing this, everyone's heart trembled. Left for thousands of years, just these 5 words were enough to shock everyone. Cultivators of our generation went against the heavens to cultivate. It was more like going against the heavens to seize one's life. The stronger one was, the longer one could live. However, even those at the sovereign level only had a lifespan of 1,000 years. They had never heard of a powerhouse who could live for thousands of years. Obviously, this was an extremely powerful existence. His combat strength when he was alive was at least above the sovereign level. Thunder Clan's inheritance, Thunderbolt Finger, and 9 deaths of Thunder Clan's battle skills. In addition, the illusory figure's next words made everyone stunned. They turned to look at Zichen. Previously, Zichen had repeatedly yelled Thunderbolt Finger, saying that it was a divine skill. Everyone had been listening to him for so long that calluses had formed in their ears. But now they actually heard Thunderbolt Finger from the Phantom's mouth. Moreover, it was one of the 2 great battle skills of the Thunder Clan. It sounded extraordinary. Could it be that Zichen's Thunderbolt Finger is really a divine skill? Everyone had such doubts, but they were soon dispelled. What a joke! Zichen's Thunderbolt Finger was useless. The real Thunderbolt Finger was the thunderbolt that appeared just now. Everything Zichen had done before was to trigger the obsession and draw out the real Thunderbolt Finger to destroy the enemy. What a deep plan! Everyone in the air gritted their teeth. They hated Zichen to the core. Zichen was silent and listened carefully. However, he was a little surprised. He did not expect this expert to be here for the Thunder Clan's inheritance. After 1,000 years of searching, we heard that the Thunder ancestor had fallen in the Saint burial ground. We came here together to find the inheritance. Unexpectedly, we were plotted against, and our spiritual sense was damaged. We don't have long to live. The ancient words glowed, and the illusory figure sighed. In a blur, everyone seemed to see the scene that happened in the past. One after another, peerless experts came together to explore the Saint burial ground in search of various inheritances. Along the way, they killed gods and Buddhas. However, halfway through, they were ambushed and suffered a fatal blow. Their spiritual sense was damaged, and their lives were in danger. In a trance, Zichen seemed to see the betrayal of a friend. It was just like when he and Zhao Ken were at the peak of the mountain. Zhao Ken gave him a fatal blow. It was just that he was luckier than Zhao Ken and did not die. Having the same experience, Zichen was full of sympathy for this expert. At the same time, he also felt the sadness of the other party. My spiritual sense was damaged and my life was in danger. After killing several villains, I mistakenly entered a teleportation formation and arrived here. I don't have long to live. The Thunder Clan's mission was not completed. The 2 great battle skills cannot be transmitted back to the Thunder Clan. They will be left for a fated person to bring them back. The ancient words glowed continuously as the illusory figure muttered to himself. The ancient words were where the ancient corpse's obsession was. At this moment, the illusory figure just opened his mouth and read. In the blur, Everyone saw a stalwart figure like light fighting fiercely with the villains. Although he was seriously injured, he still erupted with unparalleled battle strength and killed several people. The illusory figure trembled. A fiery red figure was very clear. It was like a flame creature with powerful battle strength and was fighting fiercely with the expert. The two sides turned into two rays of light and fought fiercely. In the end, the expert was seriously injured and accidentally stepped into a teleportation formation. His figure disappeared. The flame creature roared and seemed to be very unwilling. However, the teleportation formation suddenly disappeared and he did not follow. This was a blurry figure and also a memory left behind by the obsession. He had a deep impression of the flame creature. Obviously, he was the one who attacked first. Is this a foreign race? Zichin was alarmed. He could only see a lump of flames. This was a matchless expert. Within his obsession, there was no word for revenge. There were only two great battle skills that he had painstakingly searched for, as well as the lightning clan. The entire sea of lightning became indistinct. Streaks of silver light seemed to have become a mirror. The expert coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. His body was seriously injured, but he used the last of his life to carve these ancient words. These were words from the ancient times. They shone brilliantly and became his fundamental obsession. Who can bury me back to the lightning clan? In the end, the expert sat on the ground and looked towards the east. His eyes were lifeless and gradually returned to silence. Meanwhile, on the surface of his body, a layer of light appeared and spread into the distance. It protected him within and protected his corpse for eternity. At the same time, two hazy lights appeared and floated within the light barrier. Upon closer inspection, one could see that they were two ancient texts that were shining brilliantly. However, they were not words from the ancient times, but rather ancient texts. The two great battle skills were passed down in the end. That's Thunderbolt Finger and Lightning 9 Deaths. Someone exclaimed. Clearly, they recognized the ancient words. Many people's eyes became fervent. Everything returned to silence. However, the illusory scene did not disappear. In the past, countless years passed by in a hurry, until one day an old figure covered in blood appeared in front of the ancient corpse. He bowed a few times to the ancient corpse and took the two battle skills from the light barrier. Seeing that old figure, Zichin almost cried out in surprise, because that was the Supreme Elder. It was indeed him who took the two battle skills. The light barrier did not stop him. However, after he took the ancient texts out of the light barrier, the ancient texts that were shining brilliantly changed rapidly. It was as if 10,000 years had passed in an instant. The ancient texts turned yellow and withered, about to fall apart. Even one of the pages of the Thunderbolt Finger had turned into dust. With the two battle skills in hand, a surge of energy gushed out from the light barrier and instantly sent the Supreme Elder flying. The sea of lightning erupted, and everything returned to normal. Everything before was like an illusion. The imposing figure was still standing in the middle of the sea of lightning. He looked towards the east and muttered to himself as if he saw the lightning clan. The illusory scene disappeared, and everyone woke up as if from a dream. After that, everyone looked at Zichin in unison. Many of them had evil intentions. Among them, Wu Zong's Yukong was able to recognize the old figure from the scene. The two great battle skills that he had taken away were obviously in Zichin's hands. The inheritance is gone. It was taken by Zichin a long time ago. Could it be that the ancient corpse's obsession is to bring him back to the Lightning Clan? Many people were unwilling. They felt that fate was so unfair. Why did all the good things belong to Zichin? Who can bury me back to the Lightning Clan? The imposing figure spoke again. This was also the last sentence of the ancient words, the last wish. I can. Senior, I can bring you back to the Lightning Clan. Someone else spoke. Obviously, he did not believe that there was no inheritance. Boom! The shadow did not turn his head. The sea of lightning erupted again and shattered Yu Tian's bones. Everyone trembled and did not dare to speak. I can bring you back to the Lightning Clan. At this moment, Zichen spoke calmly, but his calm words were like a promise, triggering thousands of thunder and lightning. The shadow that did not turn around also turned around in the next moment. It was an imposing figure. His appearance could not be seen clearly at all. It was very illusory. The only thing that could be seen was the lightning mark between his eyebrows. It was like a lightning dragon engraved there, shining brightly. The shadow turned around and looked at Zichen. The pair of illusory and empty eyes became solid. There was a terrifying light flashing in them. The lightning mark between his eyebrows seemed to have been revived. Chapter 387. Zichen opened his mouth. His voice was calm, but it caused the thunder to rumble. It was like a promise. The shadow turned around and stared at Zichen. Many people who were waiting for Zichen to be struck by lightning were disappointed. Thousands of lightning bolts rumbled, but Zichen was not killed. The hollow eyes of the illusory figure suddenly became sharp, emitting a frightening light. The lightning mark between his eyebrows became even more vivid, as if a lightning dragon was swimming around. I can bring you back to the Thunder Clan and bring back the Thunder Clan's battle techniques. Zichen repeated, looking at the shadow's eyes. No one spoke. They were all looking at this scene. Many people were waiting for the lightning to strike and kill Zichen. Boom! The sea of lightning was indeed violent, surging with power. Those who were lucky enough to survive the sea of lightning were all thrown out. Zichen was still fine. They fell to the ground, looking at the sea of lightning unwillingly. The sea of lightning forced them back. Obviously, this was the rhythm of Zichen getting the inheritance. Why? Many people roared in their hearts. Why did good things always happen to Zichen? In the sea of lightning, Zichen looked at the shadow. The shadow's terrifying eyes stared at Zichen, as if he wanted to see through him. He just stared at Zichen and did not give him the inheritance immediately. Buzz. Zichen's heart trembled. Lightning yuan rippled, and a strange fluctuation was transmitted through Zichen's body. The illusory figure's eyes became brighter and more intimidating. However, there was also a strange color in his pupils. At this moment, he seemed to have real thoughts. In a trance, Zichen had an illusion that the Thunder Clan's expert was resurrected with the help of his obsession. His real body came back to life, and he looked at Zichen with an even brighter light in his eyes. Various expressions appeared on his face, such as surprise, excitement, and so on. However, all of these changes happened in an instant. In the next moment, the shadow's eyes became hollow and illusory again. At the same time, its entire body became blurry, as if it was about to dissipate. Rumble. The phantom was dissipating, but the sea of thunder had gone berserk. Then a blinding silver light filled the world, and the sea of thunder was slowly shrinking. The phantom image is dissipating. The sea of lightning is about to disappear as well. Could it be that Zichen is going to get the inheritance? Everyone cried out in surprise. The illusory figure slowly dimmed and finally disappeared from the world. However, as it disappeared, the lightning imprint between its brows remained and flew toward Zichen. Inheritance. That is the true inheritance. That's a lightning imprint where the inheritance of an expert lies. That's the legacy of an expert. Damn it! Hurry up and fly to me. Many people went crazy. They shouted loudly and rushed forward, wanting to snatch the inheritance. Buzz! The alchemy weapons were shaking. There were a total of 4 of them, and they burst with a terrifying aura. Controlled by the late stage of the Imperial Sky Realm, they rushed toward the Sea of Lightning to stop Zichen from obtaining the inheritance. Rumble. The Sea of Lightning went berserk and slowly shrank. It didn't dissipate, but turned into a lightning field. It was like a lightning eggshell, silver and shining, protecting Zi-chan in the middle. The lightning eggshell's defense was very strong. No matter how many attacks came, they couldn't break it. The alchemy weapons appeared, but they were also pushed back. Damn it! The inheritance is mine. I can't let Zi-chan get the inheritance. Everyone went crazy and attacked fiercely. Rumbling sounds kept coming out. Among them, the 4 alchemy weapons attacked crazily. However, the lightning field's defense was amazing. It didn't move at all. Inheritance. Zi-chan got the inheritance, just like that. Damn it. Many people roared, unwilling to accept this. This is the obsession of an expert. It's a defensive light shield for Zi-chan. Obviously, it's to let Zi-chan comprehend the inheritance. In the distance, many people spoke. They didn't fight for the inheritance, although they felt regretful. They also knew that this kind of lightning inheritance wasn't something they could get. Zi-chan's appearance meant that they were destined to have no fate with the inheritance. In the lightning eggshell, the lightning mark rushed toward Zi-chan. This was the source of the summoning. After leaving the shadow, Zi-chan's perception was clearer, as if they were of the same origin. Zi-chan didn't resist and let it rush to his forehead. In the next moment, Zi-chan felt a burning sensation between his eyebrows. It was as if there was a fiery mark imprinted on it. This was the mark of the Thunder Clan. It represented the identity of the Thunder Clan. At this moment, the mark was imprinted between Zi-chan's eyebrows. However, it wasn't silver but golden. The golden light was dazzling like a golden lightning dragon. At the same time, 2 inheritance battle skills appeared in Zi-chan's mind: Thunderbolt Finger and Thunder 9 Deaths. Thunderbolt Finger. This was the real Thunderbolt Finger. It was the real Thunderbolt Finger. A Thunderbolt Finger appeared in the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. Lightning flashed, obliterating everything. It illuminated Zi-chan's sea of consciousness. Zi-chan sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend the Thunderbolt Finger. This finger appeared in his mind continuously. When he had completely memorized the Thunderbolt Finger, the lightning youth appeared in the lightning space. He shot out a Thunderbolt Finger with incredible power. After that, there was the Thunder 9 Deaths. However, it was still incomplete. When he reached the 4th death, he had a cultivation technique. The lightning youth had evolved the 4th death to the true essence. Such a peerless expert had searched for thousands of years and only found the Thunder 9 Deaths. From this, one could see that this cultivation technique was extraordinary. It also indirectly proved that the lightning youth was terrifying. He had evolved the Thunder 9 Deaths in just 1 death. In addition, there was a map in the lightning mark. It was the location of the Thunder Clan. However, it was only within the Thunder Clan. There was no accurate location. Damn it, it's been 10 days. Why hasn't the lightning eggshell disappeared yet? 10 days' time is enough for Zi-chan to memorize all the inheritances. Could it be that we've really missed the inheritances? I can't accept this. So what if Zi-chan obtains the inheritances? After he dies, the lightning mark will be mine. Even if we can't get the inheritances, we can't let him live. Everyone had waited for 10 days. During this period, they often attacked the lightning eggshell. However, they couldn't break it at all. The lightning eggshell's defensive power was amazing. It was like a boulder that didn't budge. At this moment, they could only wait. The enemies were all gritting their teeth. They were filled with unwillingness. They were all prepared to kill Zi-chan. In the blink of an eye, another 5 days had passed. The lightning eggshell's light dimmed a little. It seemed that the protection time set by the experts was about to end. Everyone, attack with all your strength. The enemies were on the move again. They launched one attack after another. Powerful elixir weapons swept through everything. They landed on the lightning eggshell, causing the world to tremble. During this period, the monsters who were on good terms with Zi-chan wanted to stop them. However, many people were jealous of Zi-Chen's obtaining the inheritances. Not many people wanted to stop them. In the end, they retreated due to the power of the elixir weapons. Boom! Time passed. The earth trembled. The enemies were really crazy. They wanted to break the lightning eggshell to prevent Zi-Chen from successfully obtaining the inheritances. They wanted to disturb him. In the outside world, the sound of energy explosions was constantly heard. The enemies were panting. They were desperately attacking to disturb him. However, within the lightning eggshell, Zi-Chen had already sunk into a deep state of comprehension. The lightning youth had demonstrated every move of the thunderbolt finger for him and demonstrated the fourth lightning flash for him. He had comprehended the quintessence of the true meaning, and Zi-Chen had also advanced by leaps and bounds in this deep state of comprehension. Time passed. The lightning eggshell had been there for more than a month. The light inside became dimmer. The enemies still didn't give up. They kept attacking, which consumed a lot of their energy. However, after nearly a month of attacks, there was a result. A crack appeared in the lightning eggshell. "Everyone, let's work harder. Break this thing and kill Zi-Chen," said a monster coldly. A crack appeared. "It will be broken soon. Kill Zi-Chen and snatch the inheritances." The four monsters were cheering for their own experts. Attacks were launched again. The enemies worked together to break the lightning eggshell. 1, 2, 3. After about 300 attacks, the crack finally spread to the entire lightning eggshell. Boom! With a loud sound, the lightning eggshell burst open. The silver lightning energy raged everywhere. Kill Zi-Chen and snatch the inheritances. The lightning eggshell burst open. Cold, murderous voices were heard. Swoosh! However, at this moment, a golden light appeared from the energy of the explosion. It rushed toward one of the monsters with crazy, murderous intent. Puff! The golden light flashed, and a cold, lightning bolt flashed. The head of an early-stage Imperial Sky warrior flew up high. The headless body spurted blood. In the distance, another monster appeared. There was a blood stain on his arm. There was fear in his eyes. If he didn't react in time, he would have died. Zi-Chen has appeared. He almost killed the monster as soon as he appeared. Everyone's expression changed. Zi-Chen appeared in the distance. His cold eyes glanced at the crowd. Finally, they fell on the four monsters. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. "You provoked me again and again. I won't let you go today. Kid, I should say that to you. You can't escape today. The inheritances are ours." A late-stage Imperial Sky warrior appeared. He was emitting a horrifying, murderous intent. Then, figures flashed and surrounded Zi-Chen. 4 of the alchemy weapons floated in the sky. They were locked in 4 directions. They emitted a horrifying aura and were ready to attack at any time. Around them, there were many Imperial Sky warriors with murderous intent. This time it was no longer 4 forces, but 5. The Gung family also joined in. Humph, new and old grudges. Let's settle them together. Facing dozens of Imperial Sky warriors, Zi-Chen was not afraid at all. His eyes flashed with murderous intent. He rushed toward one of the monsters. "You're courting death." As soon as Zi-Chen moved, the other Imperial Sky warriors moved as well. Endless murderous intent surged, and they all attacked. In an instant, the sky was flooded with energy. The sky kept shaking. Swoosh! Lightning flashed under Zi-Chen's feet. His speed was more than twice as fast as before. In the midst of the attacks, he dodged left and right. He brushed past the edges of the blades and rushed to the front of a monster. Boom! Chapter 388. One Punch. With just one punch, Zi-Chen had defeated a genius. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Such ferocious battle prowess had shocked everyone. With Zi-Chen's growth, the gap between him and the geniuses was getting bigger and bigger. Chen's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. He was determined to kill these geniuses. In his opinion, the so-called geniuses of the big forces were just flies. If it weren't for the power of his family, Chen would have killed them many times. How dare you! But before he could finish the second attack and kill the genius, an alchemy weapon fell from the sky towards Chen. It was very fast. Wherever it passed, a crack was cut in the space. Puff! The alchemy weapon fell rapidly. With a flash of light, Chen was split into two. Not good. However, the expert controlling the alchemy weapon was not surprised at all. Instead, his face changed. At this moment, Chen, who was split by the alchemy weapon, suddenly disappeared. In front of the other genius, Chen appeared. The one that was split was just an afterimage. Domineering fist. Chen shouted. His body was shining with golden light as he punched out again. The genius from the Tsang family was shocked. His eyes were full of fear. He couldn't dodge Chen's powerful punch at all. Boom! In the dull explosion, all the defenses of the genius from the Tsang family were destroyed. At the same time, he was sent flying, leaving a trail of blood in the air. With 2 punches, he injured 2 geniuses. Chen's combat power was amazing. At this moment, the second wave of attacks from the Zephyrs arrived. At the same time, there were 4 alchemy weapons falling rapidly towards Chen. Golden light flashed under Chen's feet. He showed an extreme speed and dodged in an instant. This was a battle that made people blush with shame. Tens of people took to the skies and attacked together, killing Chen alone. Their brilliant attacks covered the sky and covered the earth. However, Chen was like a beam of golden light. He dashed left and right, moving around the edges of every attack. Even the pill soldiers couldn't do anything to him. The world moved extremely fast. Thunder and lightning flashed in all directions. Chen seemed to have entered a realm where there was no one. Bang! Every time he appeared, Chen would unleash his most powerful punch. The dazzling golden light was so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. With a loud explosion, a rain of blood splattered everywhere. An early-stage Zephyr cultivator was blown up, unable to even withstand a single blow from Chen. In the distance, everyone was dumbfounded. Even those who wanted to help were completely dumbfounded. Chen was too strong. He moved around the sky, full of attacks, and killed his way through the air. The heavens and earth shook, and the sound of explosions rang out continuously. Every time an explosion rang out, it meant that an early-stage Zephyr Realm expert had been blown apart by the tyrannical fist. Early stage of Zephyr, retreat quickly. The late-stage Zephyr Realm expert shouted and controlled the pill soldiers to attack quickly. But every time, Chen narrowly avoided them. So far, they hadn't attacked Chen yet. At present, Chen's combat power could completely kill any early-stage Zephyr Realm expert. Even the monsters couldn't defeat him. They would only be courting death if they came up. Many early-stage Zephyr Realm experts retreated as if they had been granted amnesty. They didn't want to provoke Chen anymore. Swoosh! But Chen was obviously unwilling. The light under his feet flickered, and he stuck close to them like a shadow. Bang! Another domineering punch. Golden light flashed all over the sky. Another early-stage Zephyr Realm expert was blown up. That's terrifying. Is he going to kill all the early-stage Zephyr Realm experts? Everyone was extremely shocked and dumbfounded. Chen had extreme speed and was extremely powerful. Those early-stage Zephyr Realm experts couldn't even retreat from the battlefield. A frenzied massacre was still ongoing. Many experts were so angry that they roared and attacked fiercely, but it was almost useless. Chen dodged with extreme speed. In the sky full of attacks, it was as if he had entered a no-man's land. He shuttled between all kinds of spirit weapons and killed those early-stage Zephyr Realm experts. Screams and cries for help were constantly heard. For those early-stage Zephyr Realm experts, today was the end of the world. They couldn't retreat, even if they wanted to. "Ah, Zichin, come and fight me if you have the ability." A mid-stage Zephyr Realm expert roared in anger. His spirit weapon turned into a light and slashed at Zichin at extreme speed. Bang! A punch fell, and the spirit weapon was instantly shattered. At the same time, Zichin turned into a light and rushed to the mid-stage Zephyr Realm expert. A punch fell and made a dull sound. The mid-stage Zephyr Realm expert was sent flying by Zichin. He coughed up blood and was obviously injured. He injured a mid-stage Zephyr Realm expert with one punch. Is he really just a true energy realm expert? Are all Sky Realm experts so terrifying? Unparalleled combat power is also so terrifying. If a true energy realm expert has such strength, then if Zichin breaks through to Zephyr Realm, who can suppress him in the Zephyr Realm? Everyone was in an uproar, feeling incredible. Zichin not only crossed a realm, but also a realm. This was too incredible. Once he broke through to Zephyr Realm, wouldn't he be invincible in the world? Buzz. Above the sky, the alchemy weapon was trembling, and a terrifying aura burst out. The late-stage Zephyr Realm expert roared and controlled the alchemy weapon to slash at Zichin at extreme speed. At the same time, the alchemy weapon in the other three directions also launched a terrifying attack. Boom! The entire sky exploded, and a huge black hole appeared, spreading in all directions and causing a terrifying fluctuation. The Zephyr Realm experts holding alchemy weapons were extremely crazy, but they still couldn't do anything to Zichin. He was like a light rushing to the left and right, rushing to the Zephyr Realm experts. Bang! In a few flashes, Zichin came in front of another early-stage Zephyr Realm expert. The latter's eyes were full of despair, and the next moment, a glaring fist light swallowed the opponent. Today was the doomsday of the early-stage Zephyr Realm experts. Uffed! During this time, several mid-stage Zephyr Realm experts were beaten by Zichin, coughing up blood and flying backward. Everyone was furious. Zichin's combat power was strong, but it was impossible to beat so many people. Two mid-stage Zephyr Realm experts were able to suppress him. However, that strange speed really made people feel helpless. Damn it, Zichin. Do you dare to stop and fight with me fair and square? See if I can't kill you. A mid-stage Zephyr Realm expert roared in anger. Humph. Wipe the blood at the corner of your mouth first. Zichin snorted coldly, extremely disdainful. The one who was beaten back just now was him. The Zephyr Realm expert was anxious, but there was nothing he could do. As for the late-stage Zephyr Realm experts, they were not afraid of Zichin, but they could only chase after Zichin. Powerful attacks shook the void, but they could not do anything to Zichin. So far, they could not even touch the corner of his clothes. What the hell is this speed? Everyone was speechless. Zichin, do you dare to stop and fight with me? I can let you use one hand. The late-stage Zephyr Realm expert shouted. He had strong confidence that he could kill Zichin in a one-on-one fight. Idiot, you are only at the late-stage Zephyr Realm. How can you say such ignorant words? If I were a Zephyr Realm expert, I could kill you with one blow. Zichin flashed quickly and said disdainfully, Aren't you known as a sky martial artist with unparalleled combat power? Do you only know how to run? Stop if you have the ability. Let's fight fair and square. Do you dare to fight like a man? Don't run like a mouse. During this time, all kinds of provocative voices were constantly heard. Zichin sneered. He would not be fooled at all. Only an idiot would stop the fierce battle in such a situation. Zichin responded to everyone's provocation. He rushed to the early-stage Zephyr Realm experts and blew them up with a punch. A rain of blood filled the sky. The end of the early stage Zephyr Realm had arrived. Not good. Quickly protect young Master Chu-sun. Suddenly a loud shout was heard. Unknowingly, Zi-Chen had passed through the heavy blockade and appeared in front of Chu-sun. The early stage Zephyr Realm experts, except for those who died, were almost all evacuated. However, the few monsters were heavily protected. After all, they were the main targets of Zi-Chen. But unexpectedly, Zi-Chen still appeared in front of Chu-sun with extreme speed. Chu-sun shouted and retreated quickly. The cold aura around him surged, propping up a defensive light shield. At the same time, several rays of light flashed in front of him. They were all spirit weapons, blocking in front of him. Boom! Zi-Chen threw out a punch. It was direct and violent. Many spirit weapons exploded in an instant, and at the same time, layers of defense were broken, hitting Chu-sun's body. The latter coughed out blood and flew backward. He was seriously injured, as expected of a monster. When Zi-Chen could kill the early stage Zephyr Realm experts, he didn't kill him in one blow. When he threw out a second blow, it was already too late. Many attacks came one after another. Kill him. Don't let him escape. Chu-sun shouted. His eyes were full of hatred, and then he retreated from the battlefield. At this moment, only the monster of the Li family was left, and he also wanted to retreat. Damn Zi-Chen. We must kill him. Don't let him escape. His inheritance is ours. The monster of the Li family gritted his teeth and was about to retreat. Where do you think you're going? Zi-Chen shouted. The golden light around him flashed again, and he was about to rush forward. Boom! But in an instant, the sky was violent and terrifying murderous intent surged. Several elixir weapons appeared in front of Zi-Chen, almost killing him. He quickly retreated and dodged the attacks. Idiot! The monster of the Li family sneered. At this moment, many strong cultivators were protecting a monster. It was obviously difficult for Zi-Chen to kill him. And without the early stage Zephyr Realm experts, the battlefield was shrinking bit by bit, and they were determined to kill Zi-Chen. Damn it! Zi-Chen cursed. He knew that it was hopeless to kill the monster, and he had to leave. Otherwise, there would be no way out if those strong cultivators shrank the encirclement. After all, he wasn't in the air. He could move freely here because of his extreme speed. But once the battlefield shrank, his extreme speed would be greatly limited. You're lucky. Zi-Chen snorted. He was very unwilling to die because he couldn't kill the monster again. Don't you want to kill me? Come on. I'll just stand here and wait for you to kill me. Seeing that Zi-Chen was about to leave, the monster of the Li family provoked and sneered. Squeak! At that moment, the devil ape's voice rang out. It was only the size of a fist and had been sleeping in Zi-Chen's arms. At that moment, it crawled out and stretched its body. Its beady eyes looked around and saw the Li clan freak, provoking them. Squeak! The little guy waved its fist and shouted at the monster of the Li family. Little guy, don't be so arrogant. Take it and make a soup for me later, the monster of the Li family said. Squeak! His words obviously angered the little guy. The latter waved its little fist angrily. Humph, beast. The monster of the Li family snorted. The little guy was really angry. This time, it let go of its fist and waved its little paw, grabbing at the monster of the Li family. A black light flashed. Idiot. The monster of the Li family was disdainful. However, in the next instant, his expression greatly changed, and he was overwhelmed with shock. That was because, at some unknown time, a black light had curled up around his body. Furthermore, his body was not listening to his commands and was flying forward. Chapter 389. Zi-Chen retreated from the battlefield. The only Li family disciple was being protected by layers of experts. There was no hope for him to kill him today so he decided to retreat. Otherwise, if he waited until the encirclement shrank, he would most likely die here. Just at this moment, the Lee family disciple who was being protected by so many experts suddenly flew into the air. Black light curled around him as if he was bound by chains as he flew toward Zichen. Seeing the scene, Zichen was dumbfounded. The others were also dumbfounded. They didn't understand why the Lee family disciple would take the initiative to attack. But looking at the other party's shocked and frightened expression, it wasn't voluntary. Gigi, the devil ape, landed on Zichen's shoulder and jumped around happily. It continuously waved its little fists at the Lee family disciple and bared its fangs, trying to put on a ferocious appearance. "It's you, little fellow." Zichen stared at the devil ape in a daze. Just what was this little fellow? It was already very strange that its speed was faster than his. Now, it even displayed another battle skill, restraining a monstrous genius in an instant, making him unable to resist at all. This was clearly a mysterious little fellow. Its methods were very unique, and it wasn't just limited to scaring people. "Let go of me." The Lee family disciple was both shocked and furious. The energy in his body surged wildly, wanting to disperse the black light. But the black light was like a chain, extremely tough. He couldn't break it. Everyone was dumbfounded as they stared at the freak from the Lee clan. It was as if the freak from the Lee clan was being pulled towards Zichen by a rope. "Gigi!" The devil ape cried out, its little hands constantly gesturing at Zichen. Its meaning was that the black light wouldn't be able to last much longer, and that he should hurry up and kill the enemy. Zichen sobered up. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. Light flickered under his feet, and he turned into a ray of golden light. He instantly shot toward the Lee family disciple, clenching his fist and punching. The dazzling golden light made everyone unable to open their eyes. That terrifying punch was extremely overbearing. It could be said that it was Zichen's full-strength attack. Zichen was going to kill that monstrous genius today. "Stop! Zichen, stop!" Loud shouts rang out as many experts rushed towards Zichen. Sharp attacks appeared one after another, but it was clear that they were too slow to react due to their previous days. No, the swirling black light disappeared in the next moment. The Lee clan genius saw Zichen's stunning punch and let out a miserable cry. Bang! The tyrannical fist landed, emitting a muffled sound. The Lee clan's freak was sent flying, coughing up blood. He had suffered a fatal blow. The freak from the Lee clan flew backward with a terrified expression on his face. He was a freak, and his life force and combat prowess were very strong. He did not die in one strike, which made him feel somewhat lucky. As long as he didn't die, he would have a chance to kill Zichen. His frightened expression turned to one of resentment, but soon he began to scream in fear. This was because the little thing had waved its little paw at him again. The black light flashed, and in the next moment his body was once again surrounded by black light. It was like a chain that bound him in the air, and he no longer flew backwards. At the same time, he flew towards Zichen. "No, no!" The freak from the Lee clan screamed in horror, his voice shrill. Thunderbolt finger. With such an opportunity, Zichen naturally would not let it go. He shouted, and golden light surged around his body as he struck out a powerful battle technique. In the next moment, the void trembled, and a golden finger appeared, with the unique destructive aura of thunder and lightning, pointing at the freak from the Lee clan. Boom! There was a loud explosion, and golden light overflowed, dyeing the sky. Under the horrified gaze of everyone, the freak from the Lee clan exploded along with the golden finger, and a large amount of blood rain burst out. The freak from the Lee clan was completely destroyed. Everyone was dumbfounded. A freak from the Yu family disciple was really killed, and in just 2 strikes, there wasn't even a complete corpse left. Bright red blood rain sprinkled down. accompanied by some dismembered corpses, making popping sounds, reminding everyone that this was not an illusion. He's really dead. Zi-Chen really killed a freak from the Yu family. A freak from the Yu family died in front of me, just like that. Everyone was shocked, and the other 3 freaks were scared out of their wits, but at the same time they felt very lucky. Zi-Chen's combat strength was too strong, and it was terrifying, but at this moment, what also attracted everyone's attention was the little guy on his shoulder. It was only the size of a fist, and its body was surrounded by black light. It was very inconspicuous, but it was precisely because of its existence that Zi-Chen could successfully kill the enemy. The battle technique that made people unable to move with a wave of its little paw was even more shocking. What kind of monster is that little guy? It can trap a freak at such a small age. It's only the size of a fist, and no matter how you look at it, it looks like a pet, but it has such a skill. Everyone was dumbfounded. Zi-Chen was a sky-level warrior, and his combat strength was strong, and he was known to be unparalleled. Everyone could accept that he could kill enemies above his level. But that little guy was only the size of a fist, and it was also extraordinary. It was unbelievable. Boom! With the death of the freak from the Yu family, many attacks came. The people from the Li clan seemed to have gone crazy, and they attacked Zi-Chen with all their might. The alchemy weapon was trembling, and a terrifying aura kept surging. A large area of the void was shattered, and the fierce attacks were stronger than the one before. The 3 of you, if I see you again, that day will be the day you die. After killing a freak from the Yu family, Zi-Chen stopped while he was ahead. After threatening them, he turned into a golden light, dodging the attacks, and flew away. The 3 freaks' faces were pale, and their eyes were full of unwillingness. In the distance, everyone was shocked. Zi-Chen was indeed strong, and he still threatened them after killing them. It was a slap in the face. Zi-Chen, don't run away if you have the guts. Even if we have to kill 100,000 miles, we, the Li clan, will kill you. From now on, we, the Li clan, will not rest until you die. The major forces were furious, and the people of the Li clan went completely crazy. He was too arrogant, and he killed 3 of their freaks. Their Li clan's face was about to be destroyed. We have long been enemies. Zi-Chen snorted. The people of the Li clan went crazy, and they shouted in anger. Except for the early stage of the Yu family, the rest chased after Zi-Chen. As for the other forces, they also chased after him. I'll let you go today. When I break through to the Yu family, we'll settle our old scores. Zi-Chen turned into a golden light and flew away, and soon left the battlefield. He flew in front of the ancient corpse, and the light shield around the ancient corpse was still there, and no one could shake it. Zi-Chen pointed his finger, and golden lightning surrounded his finger and pressed on the light shield. Pum! The light shield that couldn't be broken even by the alchemy weapons exploded under Zi-Chen's finger, turning into specks of light. At the same time, the ancient corpse and the light shield also dissipated at the same time, turning into thousands of specks of light, floating in all directions. Senior, I'll take you away. Zi-Chen pointed between his eyebrows, and a light flashed. The purple golden gourd appeared, shining with purple light. As the lid of the gourd opened, a psychedelic light was released, and a suction force directly sucked in the thousands of specks of light. The purple golden gourd was very large, and there were many compartments in it. The thousands of specks of light were sucked into one compartment. After that, Zi-Chen turned into a ray of light and fled. As for the ancient characters on the ground, after the disappearance of the ancient corpse, they seemed to have experienced the passage of time and slowly dimmed. The last trace disappeared when Zi-Chen left. Zi-Chen left, but his battle record was still shocking. Many people stared in the direction where Zi-Chen fled, and they didn't move for a long time. It was too shocking. Dozens of Zephyr warriors and 4 alchemy weapons couldn't stop Zi-Chen. Instead, they allowed him to kill many of the early-stage Zephyr warriors and even a genius. The Li clan had gone crazy. The one who had died was a monstrous genius who had wanted to go out and make a name for himself. They had hoped that he would bring glory to the Li clan, but unfortunately, before he could leave, he had been killed by Zichen, cutting off all their hopes. Moreover, Zichen had already killed 3 of their geniuses, which was a huge loss. The other opposing factions were also hot on Zichen's tail. However, they did not chase him for more than 10,000 miles. Along the way, they saw quite a number of battle skill inheritances, as well as the insights of other powerful individuals. Hence, they stayed behind and stopped chasing after Zichen. Only the Li family really chased for more than 10,000 miles. However, after 10,000 miles, Zichen disappeared without a trace. In the vast land, there was not a single person. Within a radius of a few hundred miles, it was dead silent. Zichen, the Li family, and you are irreconcilable. The roar of the Li family experts resounded in the vast land, and the echoes didn't dissipate for a long time. It could be seen that this time, Zichen really hurt them. Zichen didn't hear the roar of the Li family members. He was already thousands of miles away, and no one could catch up with him under the extreme speed of the world. The devil ape jumped around on Zichen's shoulder. It was very happy, and sometimes it would grab his hair and swing, carefree. Since the little guy saved his life last time, Zichen's attitude towards the little guy changed a lot. Obviously, the little guy didn't have any bad intentions, or it wouldn't have saved him last time. Along the way, the two naturally talked more. The devil ape was very happy, but when Zichen asked about the method to trap the genius, the devil ape kept shaking its head and fell into a daze. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth here was very rich, and it was very suitable for cultivation. Zichen wasn't in a hurry, and he cultivated as he walked. Sometimes he would find some insights of the experts, and he would sit cross-legged next to them, carefully comprehending. Sometimes he would see a move or half a move left by the human experts, and he would slowly understand it, memorizing it, and let the lightning youth practice it. His body and mind were rarely relaxed, and he also gained a lot along the way. He obtained a few battle skills, and they were very powerful. In this way, Zichen traveled thousands of miles, and his strength was steadily improving. He was not far from the spirit origin realm. In the following time, Zichen found a secret place to concentrate on cultivation and strive to break through to the Zephyr realm in one fell swoop. When his strength broke through to the Zephyr realm, Zichen's combat strength would be stronger. At that time, he would naturally be able to fight with the late stage of the Zephyr realm. In this place, he wouldn't be afraid of any forces. Cultivating at night, comprehending the two great battle skills during the day, and at the same time comprehending other battle skills. Zichen's life was very peaceful and very comfortable. However, this comfortable life only lasted for a month before it was disturbed. Amitabha. On a certain day, a Buddhist chant sounded outside the place where Zichen was in seclusion. Boom! Chapter 390. Amitabha. As soon as the Buddhist chant was heard, a strong force swept over, and Zichen's place of seclusion instantly exploded. Debris flew everywhere, and dust filled the air. A bald monk stood outside quietly. His eyes were filled with anticipation. It was the evil good monk. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was extremely rich. Every night, there would be energy surging as if there was something absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. The monk guessed that there was a treasure here. Damn monk! But as soon as the place was blasted open, he heard a familiar roar before he could see the treasure. Then a figure rushed towards the monk. It's Zichen. The monk's eyes narrowed slightly as he cursed his bad luck. Why did he meet this unlucky guy? In the words of Buddhism, he and Zichen were fated. But it was an ill-fated relationship. When he first met Zichen, the latter was only an insignificant Khanate cultivator, but he made him suffer the first loss in his life. After that, he suffered endless losses. Anyway, meeting Zichen was bad luck for him. So in his heart, Zichen was just an unlucky guy. He didn't expect to meet him today when he was looking for a treasure. Boom! A strong aura surged and a dazzling golden light flashed. Zichen made a strong attack without any intention of holding back. The monk cursed his bad luck. He didn't check the almanac before he went out. He might burn incense for Buddha, but he didn't dare to show weakness. Golden light flashed around his body, and he chanted again. A golden light shield appeared on the surface of his body. It was the Buddhist divine art of protection. Runes surrounded it, and golden light flashed. Old monks were chanting scriptures and formed a light shield, which was known as the strongest defense. Boom! The two collided violently, and the world trembled. The ground cracked, and the cracks spread for hundreds of meters, stirring up a cloud of dust. The monk kept retreating as golden light rippled around his body. Every time his feet landed, the ground would tremble and a deep footprint would appear. After taking 8 steps back, the energy of Zichen's overbearing punch was completely neutralized, but the divine art of protection was still there. A punch that could kill an early-stage Zephyr Realm expert instantly didn't break the monk's defense. If others saw this, they would be dumbfounded. Bald donkey, why did you destroy my place of seclusion? Zichen's face was gloomy and filled with anger, but in his heart he was shocked. This monk's strength was indeed extraordinary. Amitabha, please do not be angry. The monk's expression was solemn as he placed his palms together and chanted the name of Buddha. That's enough, you wicked monk. You don't have to act like a disgusting senior monk in front of me. I feel disgusted just by looking at you. Zichen waved his hand, indicating for the monk to stop. He said directly, "Just tell me why you destroyed my place of seclusion. Return my treasure to me." The monk was rather straightforward. He spoke directly, no longer acting pretentiously. "What?" Zichen's eyes widened. "Return my treasure to me." The monk stretched out his hand, and the golden light around him vanished. With his fat head and big ears, without the golden light, he looked more like a scoundrel. "You bald donkey! How dare you mention the treasure to me?" Speaking of this, Zichen was furious. The first time someone broke his bones and cheated him of all his vitality stones. It was the monk who did it. This was a stain in his life that could not be washed away. Even if he had a page of the heavenly book to compensate, it could not make up for the pain in his heart. "Give me the treasure, and I will let you fight it back," the monk said with a scoundrel face. When he first met Zichen, although Zichen's combat strength was extraordinary, it was far from being as tyrannical as it was now. The monk had already guessed that the treasure Zichen got that day must be extraordinary. Of course, the monk would never guess that it was a page of the heavenly book. If he knew, he would be so angry that he would hang himself dozens of times. Boom! Since the two of them couldn't agree, the only thing they could do was fight. This was an extremely intense battle, and it could be said to be a fierce battle. However, it was also the most difficult battle that Zichen had ever fought alone. When the monk was not fighting, he was fat and looked like a scoundrel. But once he fought, he was definitely an enlightened monk with all kinds of tricks up his sleeves. Amitabha. With a protective divine skill, he was in an invincible position. No matter how strong Zichen was, he could not break through it. Extreme Een. Against the monk, Zichen did not intend to hold back. He used a series of powerful combat skills. As soon as Extreme Een was used, a bright golden light appeared and rushed towards the monk. The monk's hands became golden, as if there was a huge seal floating up and down. It hit Extreme Een, causing a loud bang. The two fought fiercely, using all kinds of combat skills. Zichen had gained a lot recently and obtained a few more combat skills. He thought that he had a lot of combat skills, but the monk was not to be outdone. The combat skills he used were no less than Zichen's, and they were never the same. "You bald donkey!" Zichen shouted angrily. Thunderbolt finger appeared, and with a loud bang, it was aimed at the monk's forehead. Bang! The golden finger exploded, and the monk was pushed back. With his protective divine skill, Zichen still could not break through his defense. Zichen was known as a sky martial artist, but he met his match. The monk was not a sky martial artist, but he was still undefeated. Both of them used their full strength, and the ground cracked. Smoke and dust were everywhere, but there was still no winner. During this period of time, Zichen had used all of his battle skills once. At the same time, as he used them over and over again, he also discovered his own shortcomings. It could be said that he was using the monk to train himself. But the monk was also using Zichen to train himself. The battle continued for several hours. When both of them had consumed a lot of energy, they finally stopped, both of them gasping for breath. "Monk, you destroyed my place of seclusion. You have to give me an explanation." After a long time, Zichen said, "Then give me back my treasure." The two of them returned to the previous problem, but they did not have the strength to continue fighting. Suddenly, the monk's pupil shrank when he saw the demon ape in Zichen's arms. His face changed instantly, and he exclaimed, "This is a great sin and ominous thing. Why do you have it?" The demon ape could understand the monk's words. It rolled its eyes and shrank back, too lazy to talk to the monk. "It's a great sin with intelligence. It will definitely cause a great disaster." The monk was stunned, and he spoke again. "That's enough. Damn monk, are you done? Can you not be an alarmist?" Zichen also rolled his eyes. "Zichen, I'm telling the truth. There are records of great sins in Buddhism. Once they are born, rivers of blood will flow and chaos will follow. They must not be left alive." The monk's expression was unprecedentedly serious. "Keep bragging." Zichen looked at the monk from the corner of his eyes. "You don't have to believe me in other things, but you have to believe me in this. Every time this great sin appears, it will be a place of great danger. Even the heavens and earth do not approve of it. Once it appears, it will cause a great disaster. But some of them are lucky enough to survive the lightning tribulation and have intelligence. They also have incredible supernatural powers. Once they grow, they will definitely cause chaos." Zichen frowned. This was definitely a place of great danger, and the little guy also had some extraordinary supernatural powers. Back then, I read the highest secret scripture of Buddhism. It recorded many powerful existences, and one of them was this great sin. It's worth mentioning that this great sin is an enemy of mankind, not a friend. It's also the mortal enemy of mankind. The monk said seriously. Hearing the monk's words, Zichen thought of the shadow of the demon ape that day. It was like a demonic shadow, and no matter how he looked at it, it did not seem to be a good person. Zichen lowered his head and looked at the demon ape in his arms. He found that it had fallen asleep and was even snoring. There was even saliva at the corner of its mouth. It looked like it was enjoying itself. Looking at its appearance, it was a very cute little guy. It had nothing to do with the great sin that would cause rivers of blood to flow. "Zichen, I'm telling the truth. You have to believe me." The monk said solemnly, "It is a great enemy of mankind. Once it grows, it will definitely be a great disaster. When that time comes, human blood will flow like rivers and thousands of corpses will float. You will become a sinner. Then what do you plan to do with it?" Zichen hesitated. "This great sin is not tolerated by the heavens and earth. It can only be killed." The monk's eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Are you a monk or not? How can you be more ruthless than a butcher? It saved my life before. I can't kill it. Is there any other way?" Zichen stared at the monk. "According to reason, once such a huge evil is discovered, the only way to kill it is to kill it. But if you say so..." Tyrant hesitated for a moment before continuing. If you want it to live, the only way is to bring it back to the Buddhist sect and use pure Buddhist energy to purify it or seal it in the Devil's Sealing Tower. Buddhism. Zi-Chin looked up. That's one way, but I don't know where it is and how to bring it to Buddhism. If you trust me, you can leave it to me, the monk said. There was a slight fluctuation in his eyes. Ha! Zi-Chin, who had been hesitating, suddenly laughed out loud. He looked at the monk and said, sarcastically, "Good and evil monk, you're really wicked. You're really good at swindling, cheating, and stealing. Why? Do you think I'm lying to you? Humph! You know best whether or not you're lying to me. Look at the drool at the corner of your mouth. You still dare to say something like great sin? Kill? Tui! Evil good monk, let me tell you, don't even think about swindling anything from me. Zi-Chin, I'm telling the truth. Only you know whether it's true or not. Now, let's talk about the place of seclusion." Zi-Chen's eyes were cold again. He had the intention to continue. "If you don't tell me the truth, don't think about leaving today. All right then. Since you don't believe me, I have nothing to say. As for the place of seclusion, I can tell you something for free as compensation." The monk sighed. "Tell me, what is it? Let's see if I'm satisfied. I found a relic. There are many inheritances of experts in it." The monk said, "Good and evil monk, you still want to lie to me." Zi-Chin glared. His eyes became very sharp. "Believe it or not. Let me tell you, I didn't find it first. It was the people of the Light Moon Pavilion. But the relic is very special. They tried many methods, but couldn't open it." Chapter 391. This was a hazy world, completely silent and deathly still. Under the guidance of the monk, Zi-Chin came here. During this time, the monk kept promising that he was not lying and even swore on the name of Buddha. Zi-Chin reluctantly believed him. The hazy world was filled with an oppressive aura, making people feel uncomfortable. Obviously, this was an extraordinary place. The monk pointed ahead, saying that they had arrived. Boom! But as soon as he finished speaking, there was a huge explosion. A surge of energy began to surge, full of a destructive aura. The void was like a mirror, instantly shattering. A huge black hole appeared, spreading into the distance. It was like the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Looking into the distance, the two's expressions changed, and then they were shocked. In the black hole, 5 figures appeared. Each of them was wearing clothes as white as snow. They escaped from the black hole and flew towards them at an extremely fast speed. It's the people of the Light Moon Pavilion. Around the 5 people, a hazy light was emitted, as if they were covered with a layer of illusion. A colorful long silk was emitting brilliant light, protecting the 5 people in the middle. The destructive energy continued to spread like a huge mouth of the netherworld. The reason why the 5 people could escape was because of the colorful long silk, which was obviously an alchemy weapon. Poof! The 5 people flashed and rushed out quickly, finally escaping the huge mouth of the netherworld. But even with the protection of the alchemy weapon, the Light Moon Pavilion expert controlling the weapon was still injured, his white clothes stained with blood. The black hole in the sky stopped spreading, and the 5 of them managed to escape with their lives. However, before they could catch their breaths, the void trembled once more, and a torrential killing intent surged out. Following that, a peerless sharp blade appeared in the sky. It was like a sword that could split the heavens, and it slashed down on the 5 of them. "You guys go, leave this place." The beautiful woman controlling the alchemy weapon said with a cold voice. A hazy moonlight appeared around her, as if she was covered with a layer of gauze. She controlled the alchemy weapon and blocked in front of them. "Uncle, be careful." The 4 of them were only at the early stage of the Zephyr realm, so they could not block this peerless, sharp blade. At the critical moment of life and death, they could only leave decisively. Wang. The colorful long silk trembled, emitting a hazy light, forming waves, forming a boundless defense in front of them. Clang! His sword intent hummed, and his killing intent was boundless. In an instant, he slashed at the long ribbon. The space that had just healed was shattered once more. At the same time, a huge force surged from the heaven sword, causing the colorful long ribbon to tremble. Even the woman who was at the pinnacle of the Zephyr realm was severely injured. She coughed out blood and was sent flying. This happened very quickly, almost in the blink of an eye. Zichen and Tyrant didn't have time to react at all. They were still in shock. After that strike, the heavenly sword rolled back and disappeared into the horizon. The beautiful middle-aged woman fell onto the ground. Her white clothes were dyed in blood, and the long multicolored ribbon fluttered to the side. It released the unique aura of a pill weapon. "Marshal uncle, are you all right?" The 4 women went up and helped him up. The beautiful middle-aged woman stood up. Her white clothes were stained with blood. Her injuries weren't serious, but there was a dim look in her eyes. "It's been 2 months. We've entered several times, but we haven't succeeded once. Could it be that we really have no fate with this place?" The 4 people's expressions also dimmed, and they closed their mouths. This place was very special, and it seemed like there were quite a few inheritances. However, they had entered several times and returned with no results, almost losing their lives. The only one who had a token was Zichen, but they couldn't find any clues. It was as if the rumors were true. He had died inside. Suddenly, the beautiful middle-aged woman was startled. Her dim eyes lit up in an instant, and then she blinked again, afraid that she had seen wrongly. Zichen. Seeing Zichen coming from afar, her eyes lit up as if she had seen hope. "Zichen, it's really you." The beautiful middle-aged woman was pleasantly surprised, and there was also disbelief in her eyes. She had searched for Zichen for a long time, but she couldn't find Zichen. She didn't expect that he would appear on his own initiative. The other 4 women also turned their heads. When they saw Zichen, their eyes lit up like curious babies, and their eyes followed Zichen's movements. "Zichen is here. We have hope." The 4 were very excited. "Senior, what is this place? Why are you injured? Was the heavenly sword just now man-made?" Zichen and Tyrant stepped forward and asked about what had happened. The power of the heavenly sword just now had shocked them greatly. "We don't know what this place is. Although we have stayed here for several months, we would encounter different things every time we enter. It seems to be a formation, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels more like a maze." Before the beautiful middle-aged woman could speak, a beautiful woman with big eyes spoke first. Her eyes were shining as she looked at Zichen curiously. The heavenly sword just now was shot out from inside, but it wasn't man-made. It seemed to have triggered some kind of formation. "Maze formation." Zichen frowned. "But since you're here, we don't have to worry anymore. Whether it's a maze or a formation, we can enter it." The woman with big eyes said happily. "Why?" "Because you have a token. You must have an accurate route. We don't have to fumble around anymore. We can enter smoothly." Zichen was speechless. Wasn't this a bit too confident? He had been sensing the token the entire time, but it hadn't reacted at all. Even the many golden lines on it had all disappeared. "I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. There's no reaction from the token. And I also don't have an accurate route," said Zichen. "That's impossible. Uncle Master said that you can definitely enter this place with the token. We even looked for you before, but they all said you were dead," said the woman with big eyes directly. It was clear she was a straightforward person. Senior apprentice sister. Beside her, a beautiful woman tugged on the corner of her clothes. She stole a glance at Zichen awkwardly. Why are you pulling me? I'm telling the truth. Didn't they all say Zichen was dead?" asked the woman with big eyes. "Enough. Don't speak nonsense." The beautiful middle-aged woman put on a dignified appearance and scolded the other party. Then she turned to Zichen and smiled apologetically. Zichen, please don't mind her. This little girl is just spouting nonsense. Zichen shook his head. He didn't mind. The token really didn't react. I'm telling the truth. I'm also telling the truth, muttered the woman. This place is very special. It can be said to be the most special place in this region. It's very similar to a world within a world, said the middle-aged woman. She didn't continue talking about the token. A world within a world. Zichen was startled. The monk was also startled. Yes, a world within a world. If the holy burial ground is a world, then this is another world within a world. In other words, this is a world within the holy burial ground. It's called a world within a world. A world within the holy burial ground. It's actually a world. Zichen was shocked. Yes, although we didn't go deep, we can be sure that it's comparable to a world. This world is already very mysterious and special. This world within a world is naturally not ordinary. Senior, you mean that this might be the final burial ground of Saint? Zichen reacted quickly. He was shocked because he knew that this human saint was likely to be resurrected. I'm not sure, but it's undoubtedly a very special place. Although there were gains when we came in with the token, it's definitely not like this time where we didn't encounter any danger and gained a lot. I've seen your token. It's very special. It should have a direction. It's very likely that it's here, said the middle-aged woman. But the token really didn't react. Zichen's hand flashed, and the token appeared. It was shining with red light like a burning flame. Since this place is called a world within a world, there must be something special about it. It's normal that the token didn't react. Perhaps it will only activate when we enter the other world. The group discussed for a long time. After that, Zichen asked many questions about the other world, but they didn't know much. Although they had entered several times, they hadn't gone deep enough. What they knew was limited. In the end, Zichen decided to go with the token. During this time, there was a small incident. The demon ape appeared. It was only the size of a fist and was surrounded by black light. Its small eyes were like rubies shining brightly. Its cute appearance caused the eyes of the four women to light up. They circled around the little fellow and pinched it, causing the little fellow to be dissatisfied. Every time the monk saw the little fellow, his expression would fluctuate. Zichen secretly observed him several times, but didn't find any killing intent. Instead, he saw the monk's usual greed. This bastard. Thinking back to the monk's solemn expression, Zichen cursed in his heart. This evil monk even made up such nonsense in order to get the demon ape. This made Zichen's impression of the monk even worse. The group went on their way. As they advanced, they didn't meet any danger. Soon, they would arrive at the other world. The entrance to the world within a world is in front. After entering, it will be another world. We better stay close so that we don't get separated, the middle-aged woman warned. The four ladies were all outstanding beauties. After hearing the news, they all squeezed towards Zichen with smiles on their faces. They claimed that they wanted to see the little fellow, but as for whether they had other intentions, only they themselves would know. The four of them kept touching the little fellow left and right. The little fellow didn't get tired of it and didn't stop Zichen when it saw him. It directly burrowed into Zichen's embrace. But in the next moment, a pair of jade-like hands reached into Zichen's embrace, causing him to sweat and his face to turn red. Hee, Zichen is blushing. The four of them giggled, making Zichen even more embarrassed. He sighed in his heart. He was actually teased. The monk followed behind Zichen. Seeing such an embarrassing scene, he also silently chanted Buddha's name and called out to the immeasurable deity. Zichen, our Guangyu Pavilion welcomes you at any time. Not only were the four of them giggling, the middle-aged woman also didn't forget to recruit him. Intentionally or unintentionally, She said that she could betroth the #1 beauty of the Guangyu pavilion to him. Zi Chen was like an old monk in meditation. He kept chanting Amitabha and looked down. Beside him, the 4 of them followed closely behind Zi Chen. They weren't worried at all. It was unknown whether they had confidence in Zi Chen or the token. Swoosh! Chapter 392. This was a silver-white world. As soon as they entered, the oppressive aura in the air made it hard for them to breathe. It was as if there was a great monster here. Roar! Sure enough, the next moment a roar was heard. It was as if a peerless monster had appeared, bringing with it a monstrous killing intent. With a flash of light, a black shadow appeared in front of them. It was a huge monster that was dozens of meters tall. Its body was as black as ink, and its eyes were glowing with blood-red light. Its expression was ferocious and terrifying. It was exactly the same as the huge demonic shadow on the gate of the ancient castle. The roar shook the sky, and the killing intent was boundless. The surging aura was suffocating. The 4 girls trembled, and their faces turned pale. Zi Chen and the others were also shocked. The demonic shadow's red eyes glanced at everyone. Suddenly, it grinned and revealed its sharp fangs. Its expression was ferocious and terrifying. It then turned and charged at the group. Buzz! The middle-aged woman attacked. A long, colorful ribbon rose into the air, emitting a terrifying aura. Colorful light overflowed, and with the unique power of an alchemy weapon, it instantly attacked the demonic shadow. The demonic shadow roared and let out a sky-shaking roar. Endless black light surrounded its body, and it also attacked fiercely. Boom! The energy collided, causing a sky-shaking explosion. The void twisted and trembled. The 2 were actually evenly matched. Everyone's expression changed. They had just entered, and they had already encountered such a powerful existence. The middle-aged woman was at the peak of the Zephyr realm, and was only 1 step away from the master level. Such a powerful existence, even with her alchemy weapon, could not kill the demonic shadow. And the most terrifying thing was that the demonic shadow caught the alchemy weapon with its bare hands. Such power was shocking. Pum! The pill weapon trembled and blossomed with multicolored light. The beautiful middle-aged woman held it in her hand and danced gracefully like a fairy. It was a sight to behold, but at the same time it was filled with boundless killing intent. Each beam of multicolored light was like a sharp blade that emitted a cold light and a threatening, killing intent. Roar! The demonic shadow's roar shook the sky. Its huge body attacked and shattered the colorful lights. It was an intense confrontation. The demonic shadow's big hand shook, and black light surrounded it. It was like a palm print that covered the sky. The sky instantly darkened. The palm print fell from the sky, and a terrifying aura swept out. As the palm fell, the void trembled. It was an extremely terrifying attack. Buzz! The pale weapon trembled. Under the middle-aged woman's control, it blossomed with streaks of dazzling colors. It tore open the dark void and defied the heavens. Boom! The void trembled as intense collisions rang out continuously, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. This was an extremely powerful existence. Even a peak-level Zephyr realm expert controlling an alchemy weapon could not suppress it. The 2 continued to fight fiercely, causing explosions. Roar! The more the demonic shadow fought, the stronger it became. Its might was boundless. Black light swirled around it, making it look like a real demon. Its attacks also became fiercer and fiercer. Even the beautiful middle-aged woman with a pill weapon was unable to completely suppress it. How could this be? Normally, when I come in, although there is danger, I won't immediately encounter such a powerful existence. Looking at the powerful demonic figure, the 4 women paled. Previously, they had been able to go deeper, but now, as soon as they entered, they encountered such a powerful existence. The two of them exchanged hundreds of moves. The middle-aged woman had consumed a lot of energy to control the pill weapon, and she was gradually losing ground. How could this be? Zi-Chen was also dumbfounded. The token in his hand flickered. Even though they knew that there was an inheritance here, with such a powerful demonic figure guarding it, how could they obtain it? Even the middle-aged woman was no match for it, so who could enter? Pum! After another 100 moves, the middle-aged woman was sent flying. At the same time, the demonic shadow struck out a sky-covering palm print. Black light swirled around it, and it slammed towards Zi-Chen and the others. The silvery white world suddenly turned pitch black. It was as if rolling demonic chi was lingering, covering the heavens and earth. Surging killing intent wreaked havoc everywhere. The demonic shadow wanted to kill everyone. Amitabha. Monk chanted the name of Buddha. His body shone with golden light. The Buddhist protective divine art reappeared. At the same time, he pointed a finger at the sky. The golden fingerprint went against the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. At the same time, Zi-Chen also swung his fist. Boundless golden light shone around him as he struck out a resplendent punch. The other 4 Zephyr Realm women also did not want to be outdone. They struck out hazy attacks like endless moonlight surging. Boom! The palm print fell, destroying all the energy attacks. At the same time, a strong force struck and sent the 6 people flying. Like a kite with a broken string, the 6 people continued to fly backward. During this time, several people vomited blood. The monk, who was known to have the strongest defense, also had the protective golden light around him shattered in an instant. The demonic shadow stood between heaven and earth. He was powerful and terrifying. His blood-red eyes swept across the crowd, flashing with cold lightning. Pum! The more he fought, the stronger he became. He seemed to have endless magical power. His attacks became stronger and stronger. Once again, he sent the middle-aged woman flying. One was getting stronger, and the other was getting weaker. The gap between the 2 sides was getting bigger and bigger. Everyone retreat quickly. The middle-aged woman shouted. Obviously, this time, she encountered the demonic shadow, which was beyond her expectations. She was no match for him. Boom! The terrifying attack fell again. The boundless aura had already locked onto the crowd. They could not escape even if they wanted to. The next moment, everyone vomited blood. The demonic shadow's aura became stronger. His blood-red eyes became more blazing. It was as if there were 2 materialized red lights shooting out. The sharp killing intent reappeared. This time his hands moved together as if he was performing some kind of mysterious seal. The sky was filled with black light. The silver space instantly became incomparably dark. One could not even see their own fingers. His aura was strong and fierce. At this moment he was more like a high and mighty demon god, making everyone feel small. As the world was completely shrouded, there was no trace of light. Everyone felt that their vitality was draining away. This was an extremely strange scene. The world was pitch black, as if doomsday had arrived. There was no light and there was no vitality. It was dead silent. Even the vitality of everyone was being forcibly sucked away by an inexplicable existence. The few of them had never encountered such a thing before. The constant loss of their life force caused them to be both shocked and terrified. During this period of time, they continuously struck out with their energy, but it was to no avail. Not even the slightest ripple could be seen. Instead, their life force was being lost even faster. What kind of technique is this? Why can't we even strike out energy? Everyone's expression changed. The energy they struck out was like a clay ox entering the sea. There was not even a trace of light. The dazzling light on everyone's body disappeared. It was as if they had arrived in a world without light. The loss of vitality made everyone panic. At this moment, Even the elixir weapons were silent. There was no light coming out. Suddenly, two red lights appeared in the pitch-black space. They were like rubies, shining brightly. This was the only light in the darkness. It was emitted from Zi-Chen's side. It was like a materialized light, going against the sky and piercing through the firmament. When the blood-red light appeared, although there was no surge of energy, it brought about an extraordinary effect. It was like two sharp blades cutting open the pitch-black space. The world was restored to its silver color once again. Everyone's vision was restored. Other than feeling weak, they did not feel uncomfortable anymore. A blood-curdling scream rang out in the next moment. The powerful black figure seemed to be in low spirits, as if he had been severely injured. His blood-red eyes were filled with fear as he looked in Zi-Chen's direction, as if he had seen a ghost from the underworld. The devil ape appeared on Zi-Chen's shoulder. Its body was surrounded by black light, and blood-red lightning flashed in its blood-red eyes. Just now, it had broken open the pitch-black space and saved everyone. The devil ape was only the size of a fist, but at this moment it was emitting a powerful aura. It was as tall as a giant, causing people to feel fear. Its eyes were like lightning, flashing with blood-red light. It was cold and emotionless. It looked at the demonic shadow like a king looking at its subjects. The huge demonic shadow was comparable to thousands of little fellows. But when it was stared at by the devil ape, its face was filled with fear. It let out terrified screams that pierced people's eardrums. Pum! In the next moment, something strange happened. The demonic shadow collapsed and turned into black light. It slowly dissipated, leaving behind a ball of pitch-black energy. It seemed to be the original body of the demonic shadow. An extremely powerful aura was emitted from the pitch-black energy, causing people's hearts to palpitate. The demonic shadow dissipated, but the ball of energy was more like another demonic shadow. The devil ape stood on Zi-Chen's shoulder. Its eyes flashed red as it opened its small mouth and inhaled. It was as if it was swallowing the world, as if it was sucking in hundreds of rivers into the sea. The surrounding spiritual energy, as well as the pitch-black energy, were all sucked into the devil ape's stomach. This scene shocked everyone. Even the middle-aged woman was in disbelief. Such a terrifying energy. Its size alone was dozens of times the size of the little fellow. But it was swallowed by the little fellow, and it looked like it was enjoying it. Before this, it had put on an arrogant look. But after swallowing the energy into its stomach, it smacked its lips and returned to its original self. It squeaked and waved its little fists at Zi-Chen, putting on an arrogant look as if it was saying, "Am I not very strong?" Zi-Chen touched the little fellow's head with a smile. The latter looked like it was enjoying itself. It squinted its eyes and rubbed its head against Zi-Chen. Everyone was speechless. A moment ago, it was a strong cultivator. The next moment, it became a little cutie. When everyone looked at the little fellow again, it had changed. Tyrant's eyes were blazing with passion. Unfortunately, Zi-Chan would never give up such a mystical item. Even if he brought up the righteousness of the human race and the existence of the giant sin, it was of no use. Buzz! In Zi-Chen's hand, a red light flashed. The token suddenly changed. It rose into the air and spewed out flames like fire dragons, rushing in all directions. Previously, the token had been trembling, and at this moment, it was undergoing a change. The fire dragons rushed out with a strange fluctuation, causing the void to tremble. It was like the power of the rules. Then the space was fixed, making this place more like the real world. Then the token fell from the sky, surrounded by flames. At this moment, Zi-Chen sensed a golden path again. The path was twisted and led to the depths. There is indeed a path. Zi-Chen said with surprise. The others were also excited. Zi-Chen held the token in his hand and sensed the golden path in it. Then he led everyone into the depths. Along the way, the dangers they encountered were much less. They were easily dealt with and slowly entered the depths. Chi, the void, trembled. A sharp blade appeared in the sky with a terrifying, murderous intent. It fell on everyone's heads. Chapter 393. Bang! The colorful ribbon flew up into the sky, carrying the might of a pale weapon. It hit the sharp blade, and a terrifying energy surged, shattering the blade instantly. Under the guidance of the token, the dangers they encountered were much less. Although there were still occasional dangers, some of the attacks were also much weaker, as if they were infinitely weakened. They were able to withstand them easily. The previous encounter with the powerful demonic shadow was proven to be a pure accident. The people from the Moon Pavilion had not ventured in for several months, but under the guidance of Zichen, they had entered the depths in just half an hour. We can definitely go in. The four women were full of confidence again, whispering to each other. Only the blood-stained white clothes told them about the dangerous battle before. The four of them became very cheerful, surrounding Zichen again, and then asked him where he found the little guy. The power of the little guy had given them a great shock. Even the middle-aged woman showed an expression of disbelief. Zichen smiled, only saying that he picked it up on the road. He did not mention that he was frightened to avoid being teased. Everyone exclaimed, feeling that the heavens were unfair. How could such a powerful existence be picked up on the road? The four women's eyes flickered, expressing their goodwill to exchange for the little guy. Zichen shook his head and smiled, but did not say anything. Immediately, the four women were dissatisfied and said that he was stingy. During this period, the token flew up into the sky from time to time, emitting a fiery light. The power of the rules was surging, like a fire dragon shaking the space. According to the middle-aged woman, this place used to be a constantly changing space. Due to the appearance of the token, the rules of this place had been changed, causing this space to become completely stable and would no longer change. Furthermore, she was certain that the final destination of the token was this place. Of course, during this period, it was impossible for them to encounter strange things, such as the strange demonic shadow. However, as soon as her voice faded, an overwhelming killing intent appeared, rolling up the sky. Everyone's vision darkened, and another tall demonic shadow appeared. Everyone looked at each other, especially the middle-aged woman, who was embarrassed. The new demonic figure was no different from the previous one. The black figure's blood-red eyes were overflowing with murderous intent. After letting out a roar, the battle began. Mo Ying's strength was very strong. Monstrous magic power surged. The moment he attacked, he sent out a pitch-black palm that pressed down from the sky. Everyone worked together to retreat, but after a fierce battle, they were all suppressed. At this moment, against the demonic shadow, all moves were useless. The demonic shadow used brute force to break brute force. No matter how clever the moves were or how powerful the techniques were, he would shatter them with a single palm strike. The monk's strongest defense and Chen's world speed were rendered useless at this moment. Little fellow, get up quickly. Chen could only wake up the demonic ape and see if it had any ideas. Squeak, squeak. The little fellow was very sleepy and was very dissatisfied when it was woken up. Its eyes were hazy and it squeaked. However, after it felt the overflowing aura, it became clear-headed. Then its face was filled with anger as it clenched its little fists. Squeak, squeak. It came out from Chen's arms and jumped on top of Chen's head. When it saw the tall demonic figure, it waved its little fists at him, seemingly very dissatisfied. This was a very strange scene. The little guy was only the size of a fist and looked like a pet without any combat power. The demonic shadow, on the other hand, was a huge monster with a terrifying aura surging around its body. However, after seeing the little guy, he felt as if he had seen his own ancestor. Its blood-red eyes suddenly widened and were filled with disbelief. The overflowing aura dissipated in an instant. Moreover, When the little fellow waved its fists at him, his eyes were filled with fear. Squeak, squeak! The little fellow waved its fists and gestured at the demonic figure. It seemed to be very angry, as if it was reprimanding the other party. Everyone was dumbfounded. They did not understand what was going on. Why did the powerful demonic figure become dispirited after seeing the little fellow? It was like a mouse that saw a cat. Its eyes were filled with fear as it listened to the little fellow's teachings seriously. It did not dare to refute or even roar. Squeak, squeak! The little fellow was very dissatisfied. It was awakened as soon as it fell asleep. It did not dare to get angry at Zi-Chin and could only vent its anger at the demonic figure. Its little finger pointed at the demonic figure's head as it made a squeaking sound and cursed in pain. The demonic figure's head instantly drooped down like a child who had done something wrong. And because it was tall, the little fellow had to raise its head, so the latter squatted down directly. Its huge body almost touched Zi-Chin, making him shudder, but the little fellow did not care. Its little finger was almost on the demonic figure's nose. It was a reprimand, as if it wanted to pour out all the grievances it had suffered from Zi-Chin and let the other party bear it. The several people looked at each other and were all dumbfounded. Was this demonic figure really the powerful existence from before? Why was it reprimanded by the little fellow as if it was worse than a dog? Looking at it, it was really like an ancestor reprimanding a junior. This reprimand lasted for half an hour. The demonic figure was on the verge of collapse. There were several times when its body almost collapsed, but it was sternly stopped by the little fellow. Another quarter of an hour later, the demonic figure completely collapsed. Ignoring the little fellow's stern warning, the black light around its body finally exploded and turned into a dark energy. Zi-Chin and the others were dumbfounded again. They never expected this result. Swoosh! The little fellow opened its little mouth and swallowed the energy that the demonic figure turned into. It smacked its lips and jumped back again. It no longer reprimanded the demonic figure like before. Instead, it was like an obedient baby and drilled into Zi-Chin's arms. Zi-Chin, what kind of little fellow did you get? Everyone had this question in their hearts, and there was deep envy in their eyes. At this moment, Monk could no longer remain calm. His eyes flashed as if he was thinking of something. Apart from the demonic figure, they did not encounter any other fatal threats. However, along the way, Zi-Chin and the others also encountered several demonic figures. They were naturally no match for them in fierce battles, so they could only call out the little fellow and let it deal with them. The little fellow was very angry and reprimanded them. It seemed to be very interested in it before, but after it destroyed 2 demonic figures in a row, it completely lost interest. When the third demonic figure appeared, a strange red light flashed in its eyes, and the third demonic figure collapsed in an instant. Everyone was shocked again. This should be a kind of eye technique, very similar to the legendary delusion breaker eye, which can see through all nothingness and illusory things, just like the heavenly eye that human experts can master when they cultivate to a certain level. The middle-aged, beautiful woman, who was experienced and knowledgeable, finally spoke out her guess. Zi-Chin was very surprised. The little fellow showed another kind of divine ability that made him envious. However, he could not communicate with the little fellow, so even if he was envious of these divine abilities, he could not obtain them. Moreover, every time he asked about these things, the little fellow seemed to be absent-minded, looking left and right. Obviously, it did not want to teach Zi-Chin such a wonderful technique. This made Zi-Chin so angry that the roots of his teeth itched. He was thinking about how to use these techniques. A few hours later, everyone's eyes lit up and they finally walked out. Under the ripples of space, they walked out of a space and into another space. Amitabha. In the empty space, a Buddhist chant suddenly sounded, shaking the entire space, and there was a strange fluctuation in it. This voice sounded in everyone's hearts, making them feel like they had been enlightened, seen through the suffering of the world, converted to Buddhism, put down the butcher's knife, and became a Buddha on the spot. You damn monk! Why are you chanting Buddhist chants? Zichin said in a cold voice. This feeling made him extremely uncomfortable, and he was innately repelled by it. Moreover, he was instantly awake. On his shoulder, the little fellow became even more restless, squeaking. And beside them, other than Xiaoya, the other three all had peaceful expressions. It was as if they had followed that Buddhist chant and entered another world. There was no fighting there, only peace and tranquility. Looking at the monk, his eyes were unprecedentedly solemn, as if he was facing a great enemy. Wake up! The monk suddenly shouted, his voice like a great bell. It was like the roar of a Buddhist lion, but also like the 6-syllable mantra, causing the void to shake once more. It was like a wake-up call to him, waking him up from his obsession in an instant. What's going on? The three of them woke up and looked around. Their eyes were filled with confusion, and it took them a moment to wake up. Just what happened? I seemed to have gone to another world. No one said anything, because in the next moment they all understood what had happened. At some point in time, a bald monk had appeared in front of them. He was wearing a kasaya and looked extremely old. His palms were placed together, and he looked very dignified. There was a benevolent smile on his face, and his golden eyes were looking at the crowd. There was a strange light flickering in them. Wake up! The monk shouted again. His voice shook their hearts, pulling them back to reality. You old bald donkey, what are you doing? Zichin was furious. He had almost fallen for the monk's trick the second time. Looking into the eyes of the bald donkey, it was as if he saw a reincarnation, and the fate of reincarnation was to convert to Buddhism. Boom! Zichin punched out, and the golden light was dazzling. His aura changed drastically, and when he punched out, it was as if there was only one punch left in the world. The punch was extremely powerful, and the monk's figure disappeared instantly. But just as the fist light passed through, he appeared again, as benevolent as before. Squeak, squeak. The little fellow also became anxious, waving its little paws to grab the monk. In the next moment, a black light appeared, and the monk's figure disappeared again, but soon appeared again. This was an extremely strange scene. The monk was like an illusion, and they couldn't attack him. Close your eyes and calm your mind. This should be an illusion. The middle-aged woman said and closed her eyes. Amitabha. But the Buddhist chant rang out again, shaking their hearts. It made them feel like they were enlightened, and they had the urge to convert to Buddhism. Furthermore, after the first Buddhist chant, another Buddhist chant rang out. This old monk was not done yet. Old bald donkey. Zichin shouted. He formed a seal with his hands and punched out a powerful attack. But he couldn't hit the monk at all. Squeak, squeak. The little fellow was also furious. Its aura surged, and its blood-red eyes became solid. There seemed to be a strange energy in it. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.